This is a middle-class conspiracy. Kuria, who said that he was speaking on behalf of Kenyan traders and manufacturers, insisted that his ministry has not oppressed Chinese investors but was protecting Kenya from being a market where substandard products are sold.
Who is shopping at China Square? Are they the hustlers from Dandora? Because if they're hustlers from Dandora, there could be a stage for matatus. These are people driving. That is why I'm asking for Parliament again and again to support our proposed legislation to really discourage dumping and people who won't use Kenya as a dumping ground.
According to Kuria, small traders in Nyamakima, Gikomba, Kamkunji and Isili markets have been denied the opportunity to sell their products due to the presence of China scare, a situation that affects their income. Kuria further said that the plan to build the Kenya Square store is still on.
I'm told yesterday there were 2,000 people. How are they counted? They counted vehicles, 2,000 vehicles. We should be encouraging people to set up factories here, to sell goods here, because what they are selling here, it is not rocket science. We can do it here. That position is not changing, and I stand by it.
In a statement released on Monday by the Kenya Chinese Chamber of Commerce, several engagements with the Kenyan government have been made in order to allow China Square to continue operating in the country. NAT and Kepsha have criticized Kuppet following allegations of confusion in junior secondary school. NAT Secretary General Colin Soyu has ignored Kuppet's recommendations that grade 7 students shouldn't be domiciled in primary schools. Oyu says the challenges they are currently facing, such as lack of enough teachers and poor infrastructures, are normal, saying that there are adequate strategies that will deal with them.
I think the team in primary schools, if you can go down memory lanes, there's a group of teachers, over 30,000, who had qualified to be secondary school teachers with up to first-class degrees. So I don't think it is wise to talk about where junior secondary should be domiciled at this time. Let us not confuse this nation. Let us not confuse this sector.
Kepsha Chairman Johnson Zioka, on his part, has opposed Kuppet's claims that there are no studies going on in junior secondary school.
I want to tell the nation that I'm in touch with all the corners, all the primary schools in this country who are hosting junior secondary. And learning has taken off. Not only taking off, learning is taking place normally in the junior secondary schools domiciled in the primary. So anybody with information from a certain office alleging that there is confusion, they want them to create the notion of confusion which is not there.
On Tuesday, Kuppet proposed the dissolution of the committee to assess the achievement of the CBC curriculum designed by President Uhuru Kenyatta, claiming its recommendations were misleading. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission in Bungoma is investigating 3 people of attempted bribery during the ongoing recruitment of Kenya Forest Services at Bungoma Airstrip. Western Regional EACC Manager Christine Natome says that Aberdare National Park Ranger Philip Wessa was trying to recruit Constant Mulonga, who is his brother-in-law. The EACC Regional Manager states that upon conducting a search on the culprits, they recovered bribe money of 240,000 shillings in cash from them. And in the international scene, Ukraine has denied any involvement in the sabotage of the Nord Stream pipelines following a media report citing new intelligence that a pro-Ukrainian group may have been behind last year's attack targeting Russia's gas deliveries to Europe. The dismissal by a senior Ukrainian official on Tuesday came in response to a report by the New York Times which cited new intelligence that had been reviewed by United States officials. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.5 SpiceFM Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Neri Latifa, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalimia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
Sasa baridi ni degree ngapi hapa?
Hata sijui lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
A slap from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy. You remember the kiss of Judas Iscariot? Iscariot.
Yes.
Is the one that imetuweka kwa hii mashida yote na mataabu kwa sababu of that kiss. Yet the slap of Jesus Christ when he slapped those guys wenye walikuwa nauza mboga ndani ya kanisa took them to heaven.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
The man who looks at a beautiful girl and doesn't talk to her will end up serving lunch at her wedding.
Aya, City, do like that.
My father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man?
Ameua panya.
Small mammal, big mammal.
Mtu atamshinda.
I mean, I don't know. How are we comparison? I mean, you kill a mouse.
What are they saying?
What they're saying is, my father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man? Name, surprise. Someone's name.
The name surprised you?
No, the name is surprise.
No, what am I saying? I'm from Nigeria, man. I met somebody called I Believe. So
See?
Your name is I Believe? Yes, my name is I Believe. But that's the short form. I said, excuse me? I said, yes, my name is I Believe. So what's the full name? I believe in the goodness of the
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside. Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
You've had the luxury of living for 50 years and you cannot still explain yourself. Surely. Oh my God.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
Oh, right.
Okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
You're not.
It's about shipping up.
You're my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the sheep in the bathtub? Or
the sheep man?
One of Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they'd been told to write composition about a sheep. His classmate raised a hand. Teacher, are you talking about a sheep or a sheep goat?
The Situation.
It's not looking bad. Good morning. How you doing? It's Thursday. There's no traffic on the road at this time of the morning. What time is it? Yeah, those minutes that have passed. Nothing to report, actually. Mombasa Road is looking good. Thika Road is looking so smooth, actually. Thika Road should always be looking like this. Kiambu Road, not looking bad at all. Ngong Road, good. Langata Road, good. Everywhere is good. Jogo Road is good. The bypasses are good. Let's see how the situation will be looking like, because it's going to change in about half an hour.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's Thursday, the 9th day of March 2023. Kenya's biggest conversation gets on air right now. City?
Yes, Eric.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
How are you doing?
I'm very well.
Uh-huh. Did you have a good day yesterday?
I did. Remember those birds that Ndu and I saw?
Yes.
The birds who traditionally are supposed to herald rain.
Yes.
I think those birds were on a different mission. The rain mission, I think, they hadn't been fully briefed on.
Why?
Well, I mean, if I were to speak honestly, it has rained in some parts of the country. So it's not as though we've seen no rain whatsoever. But I think the bulk of the vast majority of the areas in this country haven't received rain. So
not yet.
When one talks about there not being rain, it would be a fair and very accurate statement.
Rain comes from mid-March.
Yes.
Mid-March. We are still in early March.
You know, if we hadn't had a drought, what you say would make so much sense. But that mid-March has come, gone.
No.
I should be patient.
Mid-March has not come.
For this year. Okay.
You wait. Did you see the birds last year? So you saw them this year for this year's rain. Yes, you wait.
I should just wait, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's still early days.
Let me apologize to the birds.
It's still early days. Sijali, mambo iko itakuja. Itakuja tu. Yeah, welcome to the conversation. So yesterday I attended the People's Dialogue Festival with the Center for Multi-Party Democracy. And it was interesting discussions there. Yeah, various. So it's actually a fest. They call it a festival. It's a festival. They've broken it down into various tents and breakouts, and they call them villages. So there's a village that's discussing youth and youth matters. There's another village that's looking at politics and political matters in terms of political parties. And then there are very many exhibitors. The ladies who were here with us yesterday in the morning, one Bina Maseno from BD Africa and the other one Michelle from Youth Alive, those two organizations were part of the exhibitors. So basically you go into museum at the national museums, you get to interact with very, very, very many people. And I think I'd encourage anybody who has some time to spare, just go there. You'll engage, interact, see what people are doing at community level, at various levels, at political party level, to discuss governance and democracy. Very interesting.
And how long are they going to be?
It ends tomorrow.
No,
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very interesting. Very interesting.
Well, I have heard what you have said. And it ends on Saturday, you say?
You'll put it into consideration?
Oh, most definitely.
Good.
Most definitely. In fact, I think if I can take my children, so much the better.
Oh, yes. Very interesting. So let me tell you what we'll be discussing today. There's something called the Magical Kenya Open. This is the internationally acclaimed golf tournament that takes place in Kenya. It's part of the World Golf Tournaments. And the Magical Kenya Open kicks off today at the Muthaiga Golf Club. We'll be having two people to come and talk to us about it. The tournament director, Patrick Obath, will be joining us at 7 a.m. alongside Head of Marketing at ABSA Kenya, Peter Wawero. They'll be here to talk to us about the Magical Kenya Open. The ABSA Bank is the presenting partner of this particular tournament this year again. And the ABSA Bank Head of Marketing will be telling us what the bank is doing. Of course, Engineer Patrick Obath will come and tell us about the tournament itself, how many people have registered, how many players we have, what are we doing to grow our own golf in this country and golfing, and what kind of mileage we get by hosting such an international tournament in the country. 7 a.m., 8 o'clock, Crown Paints. You know Crown Paints? Yeah. So Crown Paints is nurturing Kenyan golfers, and we'll be having that conversation with Dr. Rakesh Rao, Group CEO of Crown Paints Kenya as well. Coming to talk, it's still a golf conversation, to talk to us about how Crown Paints is nurturing Kenyan golfers, what they'll be doing at Muthaiga, and just to understand why paints and golf would go together. 9 a.m. We'll be hosting Senator Aaron Cheruiyot. He's a Senate Majority Leader and Senator for Kericho County. Several things to talk about. First of all, we'll talk obviously about his tweet on the cartels that need to be crushed. And these are Kenyan banks and Kenyan media. We'll seek to understand exactly what he says. What has he heard from people that makes him believe that this is a cartel behavior. Then, of course, we'll talk about other issues of governance and matters of national development. 9 a.m., that's the conversation. So, in terms of COVID-19, listen, nothing much is actually being reported, even across the globe. So, Kenya has just silently and quietly stopped doing the daily updates on Twitter on COVID-19 in numbers. Of course, they're still gathering information or data, at least we hope, but they're not reporting. So we do not know the cases of COVID-19 in the country so far. Looking as well at international media, the story is still on that whole accusation, the FBI chief saying that they believe that COVID-19 originated from a China lab incident. That thing has not moved much. And if you look at even the international media and how much they're reporting about COVID, the last story that the BBC World posted on COVID-19 was on the 1st of March, 9 days ago. And it was that whole issue about the origin of COVID. Where did it break out from? Was it a Chinese lab? Or was it a wet market? Or, yeah.
Well, you know, as far as epidemics are concerned and the viruses that have been responsible, or bacteria if they are, if we go along that route, well, it is good to know the origins of things, but where do we start, where do we stop? That story was heard with regards to HIV. It just got overtaken by the diseases.
Yep.
But the questions as to where it started, again, this story about there being a leakage in a lab was fundamental, because the question was, who is it? Which organization, which setup, which country has the muscle and the capacity to be able to incubate and to have quantities of some of these viruses and bacteria stored for their own research purposes, for their own understanding? Because something can't leak unless you have it. So, it's a debate that goes on.
And leaking suggests it had been contained. It was somewhere where it was contained and then it leaked, either accidentally or deliberately.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it opens up a whole new conversation.
Yep. Yes. Let's take a break. 18 minutes after 6. Are you online? Let's know where you're tuned in from. And then once we take a look at the weather forecast, we shall do the thing that we usually do, which is acknowledge your presence. Good morning. This is Kenya's biggest conversation.
This is 00 Direct, woman host, music by women and only women guests.
If COVID could mutate and evolve 6 times over the last 2 years, how many versions of yourself have emerged in the last 2 years?
Do not, and you don't have to give anything to get ahead. All you have to do is give out and show out your talent.
Catch 00 Direct every Saturday from 10 a.m. on SpiceFM.
94.4.
Partly cloudy this morning in Nairobi. Currently temperatures are at 18. We're going to hit a high of 29. Mombasa is a partly cloudy morning as well. Highs of 32 later today. Malindi partly cloudy. Highs of 31 later. Kisumu clear skies at 22. Hitting highs of 32 later today. Nyeri partly cloudy morning at 13. Nakuru town clear skies at 14. Kakamega clear skies at 15. Paris, mostly cloudy morning, night at 9. Well, before we go to Paris, let's talk about our neighbors. In Kampala, Uganda, it's clear skies at 18, highs of 30 later today. In Dar es Salaam, mostly cloudy morning, 27 degrees is the current temperature. It'll hit highs of 32 and then drop down to lows of 27. Johannesburg, South Africa, partly cloudy at 16, highs of 29 and lows of 13. Kinshasa, mostly clear skies this morning, highs of 33 later and then dropping to lows of 23. London, haze this morning. They're going to wake up to highs of 10 and then lows of 3. It's clear skies tonight in New York. They'll wake up later to highs of 10 and then the temperature will drop to 1. Beijing, mostly cloudy at 22. Highs and lows of 5.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Online shortly. Well, from Bernard Estate, we know who usually is tuned in from Bernard Estate. Andrew Franklin, good morning to you. Good morning from Europe, Becky Odhiambo. Bernard Hamati, good morning from Vihiga. Where are you tuned in from this morning? Amos Anda says, nawakilisha nikiwa Kipsiat areas, Kericho County. Upcoming MCA Soin Ward 2027. Oh, umeanza mapema bro. Your senator will be here at 9. Keep it locked for that. Peter wa Kigumo Gashosho Ndani, Language Connection Center. Good things come to those who wait. Good morning. Yes, John Mwangi, Morning Spice, listening on 94.4. Listenership of Spice has aggregated to sizable number. Consider a rerun of the Situation Room at the wee hours of the night. Okay. All right. So, snippets of the repeats being plugged away on Spice. Something for us to consider. Yep, that's a good idea. Amos Freeman, good morning from Kimilili. Tieno Jermaine Jackson, good morning. Even as Kisumu mourns the passing of an iconic woman in post-independent Kenya, Mama Grace Onyango. Oh.
Yes, she passed away yesterday.
Oh.
At 6 p.m. She was at Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital. Mm-hmm. She was 98 years old.
Mm.
She wasn't just the first. You know, she was many firsts.
She was many, yeah?
First female mayor.
Uh-huh.
First female MP.
MP in Kenya.
First female Secretary General of Luo Union East Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What was Luo Union East Africa?
It was just that. It was a social gathering of Luos within East Africa.
Allah?
Yes. And it gave birth to very many business initiatives.
So it was a chama?
It was a chama. It was a serious chama.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, no. I hadn't heard that news. Okay. May Mama Grace Onyango rest in peace. Good morning to you all. Enjoying the show here in Kwale. Robin Bogo, how you doing? John Doria, good morning from Mishamoroni in Mombasa. Moniz Janeth, good morning, Situation Room. Hello, Sir CT and Mr. Eric Latif. Hello to you, Moniz. CT ambia Moniz.
Hello, yes. Jambo sana.
Ambia David Munyao Pia, good morning. He's in Machakos. Mm-hmm.
David Munyao in Machakos.
All right.
Good morning.
Dixon says, good morning, gentlemen, and the lady in absentia tuned in from Kesses. Kindly bring a Kello, Missouri. Coupet is now changing the tune about JSS. They may also have changed the tune on the number of A's scored by Kisii schools. Everybody, thank you very much for tuning in. Welcome to the conversation. City.
Mm-hmm.
Rwanda's proverb of the day.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay. Second last day of the Proverbs. Mm-hmm. A man's heart is not a sack opened to all.
A man's heart is not a sack opened to all.
Mm-hmm.
Sio gunia.
Pana. Pana.
Ati kila mtu hapa. Oh.
Yes.
No.
It is not.
No. It's not. This is not what it is.
That is definitely not what it is.
Okay. Let's look at the newspaper headlines. What are you looking at?
I am looking at the Star.
Mm-hmm.
On the right-hand corner in green, a bizarre story. A lady passed away in her parents' home in Ruiru. The story is on page 2. Apparently, the last time she was seen was in the presence of another man who was supposed to be her prayer partner. And the police are investigating. The police actually followed up this matter. And now this is what tells you just how good the police are. And they traced this person to his quarters in Mkuru kwa Njenga. Yes, they found him. And the story...
Was she found dead?
Yes, she was found dead. She was
where?
found
In her
dead.
house?
In her parents' house.
She was found dead in her parents' house. Did she have any visible marks on her body?
No, those are details that have been left out of this. She has a parent who actually lives in Meru. There's another parent who is in Dubai. But this Ruiru home belongs to the parents. So that's probably where she lived. Yes, this is an ongoing story.
Wow.
Yes, and it also tells us that this is somebody who had known her for a long time. These are, should we say, the first shots of this particular saga. It is tragic, it is sad, and it's a young lady. Then the headlines, MP push for probe into Uhuru-era killings. Lawmakers want commissions of inquiry to unearth those behind forced disappearances. This story is on page 4 and 5. We've talked about these stories for the longest of times. And Yala River became, well, better known than it had been known previously because it seemed to have been the destination of people who had been lost or not found elsewhere, were found, rather their bodies were then found in River Yala. Then bang in the middle, there's a picture of ministers and the story is ministers oversee relief food distribution. Yes.
Who are the ministers?
The picture here, we see Waziri Miano and Waziri Machogu. Yes, sharing a meal with school children. You know, when people go out of their way to distribute food and to give food, it is a truly wonderful thing. But do they know how disempowering and how degrading it is for human beings to feel that they have to be fed by other people and not themselves, when previously they were able to feed themselves? It is important that people get food when they don't have any, yes. But it is infinitely better that people are able to produce their own food and to feed. The dignity that people lose when they feel they are in a position where they can't even, forget feeding themselves, they can't even feed their own children. It is profound.
It's horrible.
Yes. Then on the right hand side, there's Ruto Raila headed for clashes as the Emir threatens to storm key state offices. Right. Favorable weather. This one, I think we spoke of yesterday, so I'll just mention it in passing. Kenya gets fertile land in Zambia. To grow more maize for food security.
Yes.
Okay, how many acres? 40?
49 acres.
Kabisa. Then voices. Alan Kilavuka, Kenya Airways, we have a plan. Kabisa.
Hiya, let me tell you what's on the front page of the Standard. Gashagua's 1.59 billion bill for office and the wife.
Right.
See, Dr. Margaret Nyakang was telling MP something.
Yes.
And she mentioned Ukur Yatani.
She most certainly did, didn't she?
Ukur Yatani said, wait, but why did Dr. Nyakang not tell you about the other money that she also authorized for the new administration? After they were sworn in, these people...
No sooner
had they been sworn in, then they came to me asking for money. And I gave them the money using the same route. Article 222, whatever of the Constitution, which does not require parliamentary approval before withdrawal of such funds. Documents from the Treasury now show 2 days after Supreme Court upheld the election win, the DP has asked for money to purchase cars, fuel, and the second lady's activities, which were those 300 million shillings for motor vehicles, 300 million for motor vehicles, 500 million shillings for other operating expenses, pesa hapa na pale, things here and there.
Emergency hapa na pale.
500 million, okay?
Yes.
140 million shillings for domestic travel kutoka hapa kwenda Nyeri, kutoka Nyeri kwenda,
47 counties in Nyeri. Yes.
40 million shillings for foreign travel, just in case I need to go. He has gone to Rwanda. The deputy president. Has he gone anywhere else outside the country?
Not that I can remember.
Okay, 40 million shillings was spent on that. 330 million shillings for state hospitality costs. You know, watu watakuja kwa nyumba, nini. They need to sort themselves out. We have this building that we'll be occupying that was previously occupied by the boss. Now he is leaving to go to State House. We are coming to that building. We need to refurbish those buildings, okay? 50 million shillings to refurbish what? The buildings. And to purchase vijiko, vikombe, sahani, glass, and such other household items, 50 million shillings.
What?
50 million to purchase household items and fittings. Mama Dorcas wants a water unit. Hiyo water unit tuweke glass kadhaa, set ya wageni.
So the entire building is going to be reconditioned, really?
Yes, of course, it must.
And everything seems like it's going to be replaced.
So the others have gone with theirs.
No. Bro, it doesn't work like that. The things that are found in these state lodges and state establishments belong to the state.
Yeah, but the occupant of this one has gone to the other one.
Yeah, but they've left the house. And with the things inside the house, for heaven's sake, did they go with the house?
Zilikuwa zimevunjika bwana. Rachel anapenda vikombe ya green, Dorcas anapenda vikombe ya blue.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, and then maintenance and expenses for the current vehicles, not the ones that we are spending 300 million shillings for. No, the current one, 70 million shillings.
Yeah, but the new ones are new, so really maintenance.
Yeah, we see, we need to have, we're not selling away the old ones. So, 1.59B was requisitioned, and Ukuri Atani says, I asked Margaret Nyakango to approve. Kacha kidole. She authorized. Okay? So why did she tell you about that as well? Higher. The other headlines in the Standard this morning. A new survey is showing that marriage is driving women to own property. I don't understand what that means.
I also don't understand it either.
All right, we'll look at it later. Cost of living, Azimio plans siege on government offices. Okay. And then oil marketers in court over fuel monopoly deal. Oil marketers in court over fuel monopoly deal. Let me tell you, the Nation headline, Raila's D-Day. Azimio leader Raila Odinga's 14-day ultimatum to President Ruto to open poll servers and address the high cost of living lapsed yesterday, with the opposition chief threatening mass action and civil disobedience should his demands not be met. The president has called his bluff, saying he will not be intimidated. So, who will blink first? We expect to hear from Raila today on that particular matter. The other headline, I did not coerce Nyakango to approve 15 billion shilling payment, says Ukuri Atani. He says her submissions to Parliament depicted my actions as CS for National Treasury as designed to facilitate the theft of public funds. Nothing could be further from the truth. Electricity prices jumped 10% on costly fuel and a weak shilling. 10 para what? 10%. Now, our good friend, Mr. Isaac Ndereba of the Electricity Consumer Society of Kenya. Remember him?
I remember him very well.
He was before the Senate yesterday, where he appeared
in his capacity as
the Electricity Consumer Society of Kenya Executive Director. He called for a probe into Kenya Power's dealings with independent power producers. Senators are now going to probe 11 IPPs and look at their contracts. Okay? That is look at the papers this morning. So let's take a break. We shall look at them in detail. Oh, no, there's Business Daily.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us.
State to sell cheap goods in shops via a 24 billion shilling KCB deal. 120,000 shops tapped to retail discounted goods, low-cost sugar, edible oil, and rice fighting inflation.
So that thing that we're importing, this is how it's going to come to us.
All the things that we imported duty-free. 125,000 metric tons of this, another 25,000 metric tons of this. There was oil. There was sugar.
There was rice.
There was beans. All those things. They are going to be packaged. There are certain shops they are going to be sold in, and they are going to be sold cheap. Now, what happens to the ones which are being sold not cheap?
sawa. Hakuna shida.
Hakuna shida.
Right. Yoyote. Tunasema amen. 26 minutes to 7. Let's take a break and take a look at traffic. Remember, if you're thinking of flying and you want to travel anywhere across the globe, think Emirates. And particularly think business or first class. You get the best treatment from here to up there, back down here.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanyang.
Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It gets over
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes.
What the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself. When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, oh, you know, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom? I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, you know, because if it was a man, I would, but this was a...
Okay. So we said we'll take a look at the traffic in about half an hour. It's at about half an hour now. Has it improved? It's still the same on Mombasa Road. It's not bad at all. Langata Road is still moving very smoothly. Ngong Road is moving very smoothly. Jogoo Road, just the usual issue at the Makadara train station around there, Makadara and Hamza. Eastern Bypass is only busy in Utawala, of course, at the junction in Utawala. And then Thika Superhighway has started to do the thing that it does. So right now it's stretched up to the Utalii Hotel, coming towards town. Kiambu Road, busy at Muthaiga, but that's all that you see right now. So it's not bad at all across all the roads in the city. But if there's anything that we are not seeing on this map, let us know by tagging us on Twitter at SpiceFMKE.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
23 minutes to 7. Where do you want to start?
I want to start with a story in the Business Daily. State counties set to run joint projects in new law. The National Treasury has moved to amend the Public Finance Management Act to formalize a collaboration between the national and county governments. And in so doing, they are going to establish a new entity known as the Joint Authority. It's an intergovernmental organ that will be established within the two levels of government. Now, the idea is to establish an intergovernmental mechanism that promotes consultation and cooperation between the national and county governments and amongst county governments for the implementation of government policies, projects and programs. Do you understand what I've just said?
No.
Neither do I. The new mechanism shall have specific objectives including coordinating and harmonizing the development of norms, policies, laws and sector priorities. Further, the new organ shall facilitate access to wider market across board, establish an enabling environment for trade and investment initiatives, including joint investment initiatives, and strengthen partnerships with the private sector through public-private partnership initiatives. The national government and one or more county governments may set up a joint authority by entering into an intergovernmental agreement specifying the manner of cooperation.
Okay. So where does the national government need to come in?
What I'm wondering is, what is it that we're doing now that does not achieve the goals, or what are we not doing now that do not achieve the goals of what we currently have in place?
What challenges are they addressing?
Yes. what was there in the act that prohibited the very things that they're saying they want to see happening from happening? Because, again, questions are raised. Remember, we did have...
Maybe it's about those, duplicity of roles. So there's something that a county wants to do, but then they realize that this is a national government issue. So who releases the funds? If the national government releases the funds just for this particular county, who accountability and all, what's the level of county involvement? Probably now this one says we can actually enter into an agreement as a national government and Jumuiya ya Counties of Pwani, right, to roll out a project that we are jointly working on.
This, if you ask me, is national government encroaching into the functions of devolution. Of devolution. They are the independence of these particular units of government is clearly going to be compromised. For me, it is clear as day. Yes,
that's what you see.
It's what I see.
It's not far fetched because that's the first question that you ask yourself. Why? If the national government, you're clearly seeing that there are some things that you'd like to do in counties, but you can't do them because county blah blah. Why not just unbundle that and make that a devolved function?
Yes. More importantly, there are more. If you look at even the process of devolution, the devil that we haven't dealt with is the issue of money that's intended just for policy being the bulk of what the government retains.
Yeah.
And what then is given to the counties is a minuscule amount, which essentially should cater for paying salaries. And yet that is the amount of money that is supposed to run those particular ministries or departments.
Yes.
See? Now, that hasn't been solved. Now, we want to create something else that is going to bring into play supposedly a closer relationship between governments. And yet, we have on paper and we have seen that county governments within the law are able to engage with the national government in matters involving the very thing they're saying, PPPs. If it's a question of you seeking authority, for instance, to get a loan, for the county, there is a mechanism by which you and the government, the county government and the national governments can cooperate, so that can happen. It's been done, it's happened before. This need to have a situation where we are now amending, an act, and saying that ostensibly this is supposed to make life better and make coordination and working conditions better for the national government and the county government. I honestly do not see it. I do not see it.
We may need somebody there to come and explain what exactly is going on.
That we will definitely need. And we will look for people who are experts in this particular field and ask them to come and provide us with a little guidance.
That's true.
Yes, because we are speaking as lay people who do not necessarily understand the full imports of something of this sort. It may be the best thing that the counties would
explain.
Yes, and
what exactly they're doing.
Precisely.
Yeah, there probably is some ground for it. Now, you remember the president of the Republic of the fifth president was sworn in the 13th of September last year. 13th of September. 13th of September last year. He moved into State House. The former president left office, but of course, some of the officials who were in the previous administration continue to stay in the transition capacity. Now, on the 21st of September, there's a letter that was written by the Cabinet Secretary then for the National Treasury, Honorable Ambassador Ukuri Yatani, written to the State House Controller, who was then Kennedy Mbogwa. And it was titled, Urgent Request for Additional Funding for the Executive Office of the President, Vote 1011, Office of the Deputy President. And it was talking about reference to a letter dated 7th of September 2022 on the above subject matter. Now, 7th of September was still transition period. It was just 7 days before the new president was to be sworn in. This is when the controller of State House had requested for this money, 1.59 billion shillings, to be released to the presidency to finance some of those things. And this is what Ukuri Yatani was basically releasing yesterday, saying they had also asked for money, and I use the same route of sending the money to them using Article 223 of the Constitution that allows us to actually spend money and then seek parliamentary approval 2 weeks afterwards. In a no-holds-barred response, former Treasury CS Ukur Yatani says he received a request on behalf of Gachagua for approval of the money using the same route that he approved the 15 billion shillings in the last days of former President Uhuru Kenyatta's regime. Under the route, the national government is allowed to spend money that has been approved by Parliament that has not been approved by Parliament. However, when this happens, Parliament is required to regularize that in 2 months. So the money included 300 million shillings for cars, 330 million for hospitality, a request that I did not grant in full, but considered an amount of 500 million due to the financial constraints we had at the time. Basically, Ukur Yatani is fighting back and saying, look, this was not... You're creating... The controller of budget went to Parliament and only presented a scenario of the days before the general election, saying that I was pushing her to approve some expenditures, and this created an impression that we were acting illegally, But this is far from the truth. You're saying it created that I was acting in a manner designed to facilitate theft of public funds. No. That's not the only one. In fact, when the new administration was still in transition and they were coming into office, I did the same thing. Released 1.5 billion shillings for their expenses. They have also spent money under the same Article 223 of the Constitution.
Yes.
And the controller of budget approved the same under Article 223 of the Constitution.
So, every time something is set up, one has to wonder, do they know what they're setting in motion? Because, yes, that is one side of the story. Now, what happens when someone else brings their side of the story? And suddenly you find that the shoe isn't quite fitting the other foot. And your purpose was to present the shoe as having been only on one foot. And yet, now, as the story unfolds, you realize that's not the entire story. Okay? And this goes into everything else that one has heard about the complaints leveled by the president and the deputy against the government of Uhuru. They did this. You see, if indeed what this government is trying to do is to weed out rot that existed in the previous government, I applaud them. If they're doing so and presenting it as a witch hunt, because words that are associated with some of these activities point in that very same direction, then woe betide you, because you are setting in motion something that may come to haunt you when you're no longer in office.
Yep.
Because you will be out of office.
Yep.
It's just a question of time.
Yep.
But if we are looking into wrongs that were committed and we are seeking to set them right, by all means, carry on.
Carry on.
Yes.
Amount of money spent during the President William Ruto administration between September last year and December last year, or September 14th, donor funds, secondary education quality improvement project, 4 billion shillings spent. September 16th, fuel subsidy of 16.59 billion shillings. September 26th, NMS spending bills, 2.9 billion shillings. October 7th, fertilizer subsidy, 3.79 billion shillings. November 23rd, operations of Office of the Deputy President, 264 million shillings. December 14th, another petroleum subsidy, price stabilization, 9 billion. December 22, financial inclusion fund seed capital. This is why we've been asking, hii pesa ya hustler fund imetoka wapi? Kumbe, it went out through Article 223 of the Constitution, 12 billion shillings.
What's Article 223?
Article 223. Article 223 says that the National Treasury can spend, in a case of an emergency and such matters, spend money and then seek Parliament's approval after.
Because an emergency cannot wait for parliamentary approval.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Hustler Fund, the first initial 12 billion shillings for the Hustler Fund actually came from the National Treasury.
Okay.
Into that. It could not wait for Parliament's approval.
We agree.
Yeah. Set up for Financial Inclusion Fund, 200 million shillings. This is setup cost. Okay, setup cost. This thing we've been told it's automated. Setup cost to automate it. So this
system
setup cost 200 million
the
shillings.
system for disbursing these funds. How much was it again?
Set up 200 million of 12 billion shillings. So 200 million, and there was no board, there's no secretariat. So we're not talking about it, putting up an office, buying desks. No, it's not those things. It's set up so that now set up now can.
So that's like 1% of the amount.
Can set up
more or less
the thing. Yeah.
Yes. And setups cost money.
Setup costs money. So you can have *254#. That is setting up.
Precisely.
And
then
when you do *254#, it then tells you.
It travels into other avenues.
It tells
and
you how much do you want to borrow. And then it tells you, you're 500. The other one is 250. That intelligence, 200 million shillings is required for that.
And also for it, the most difficult part is for it to tell you that you're also not qualified. That also is a
setup.
It's a setup.
And to calculate that out of that, 20% will be withheld so that it's taken to a savings account. Set up.
And when it is that we are being informed that X billion Kenya shillings have been disbursed already, set up.
Every daily reports.
Set up
cost.
200 million shillings. All right. All right.
It's important to set up things, Bwana. Don't just do things.
There's this story I was reading.
Yes.
The headlines in the Business Daily state to sell cheap goods in shops via 24 billion KCB dealer. According to this story by Gerald and I, the state has received 24 billion Kenya shillings backing from KCB Group for importation of cheap foods to be distributed through 120,000 shops in efforts to lower the cost of living.
Okay.
State-owned Kenya National Trading Corporation, KNTC, said yesterday it had secured a letter of credit, a guarantee that a seller will receive a buyer's payment on time from the bank to support the importation of 100,000 tons of household goods on a duty-free basis. It mapped out 120,000 retail shops in the country where cheap imported foods would be stocked as the government targets to ease the cost of living that pushed inflation to 9.2%. Okay? And the story goes on page 2. The import scheme intended to force other manufacturers to lower their prices of basic foods, with the government stepping in as the de facto controller of the cost of essential commodities. The KNTC will set up retail prices for goods including cooking oil, sugar, rice, beans. Are these not the very items that were imported into this country duty-free?
These are the ones you're talking about.
Okay.
These are the ones that Kenya National Trading Corporation is importing into the country duty-free.
Importing or has already imported?
It's those ones. They secured the letter of credit. The question, though, is KNTC importing directly or is KNTC using traders to import? Because I thought there was an issue of several traders having been identified, having applied and having been allocated quotas.
That's what they said.
You import 200 metric tons of rice, you import X amount of beans, you import and you bring on behalf of KNTC. So when it gets the letter of credit, is that to the importers or is that to KNTC? Okay, anyway, continue. So they've identified how many shops?
120,000.
120,000 shops across the country.
Yes, I'm looking at all this and I'm not seeing where it is. They have told us the criteria they use for choosing these.
For those shops.
No. One doesn't see it. Okay? The Kenya Revenue Authority issued an exemption of duty to KNTC for the importation of 125,000 tons of cooking oil, 25,000 tons of rice, 80,000 tons, this is metric by the way, of beans, 200,000 tons of sugar and 150,000 tons of rice. This is in addition to the previous duty exemption of 100,000 tons of sugar, 100,000 tons of rice and 900 tons of maize, which was issued last December. Okay. This story is a bit conflated because it began by they are going to import, they're going to seek exemption. Then exemption has been given. Then no, it's not exemption. KNTC is going to determine traders who will import, then it has already been imported. And then just when you think you've understood the story fully, actually an exemption was given by KRA.
Don't confuse them. There were 2 windows for importation.
I understand fully.
There's a December one. Those ones were given. It was sugar and whatever in December.
I read for you. The first was in November.
November.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And then there was this second one. The date here is not given, but let me just check. This thing called fact checking is really very good, very, very good. And
all this importation, because the whole idea is to import food to make the cost of living cheaper.
That's
It's all duty free. So, KRA has to waive duty for all this.
Yes, but
which means that the trader who's bringing this is not going to pay duty.
Yeah, but according to documentation, the waiver that was given for the 150,000 metric tons of rice, 125,000 metric tons of oil, 200,000 metric tons of sugar, wheat, not mentioned here, 25,000 metric tons, beans, 80,000 metric tons. This was given by the KRA on a circular that was sent on the 14th of February 2023.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Again, let me explain to you where my confusion comes in. There are so many things being said in this particular space. Of food, no food, not enough food, exemption, no exemption. So, what exactly are we doing?
We are importing food. Okay. It's going to be cheaper because there is also duty waiver. And then we have identified shops where this food will be distributed, and then people will go and access cheap food. The hustler. See, Mambo Kusema Tio, no.
Right. I've got it. I've got it. Am I then to assume that the foods that are being imported, that if you look at the demand and the consumptions of Kenyans, that what we have locally is inadequate?
Yes.
So we have to bring them in?
Yes.
All right. Now, why is it then that we do not allow our own manufacturers and people who produce these things to also benefit from this? Because essentially, if you bring in, they are talking. There's a gentleman called Mutua who is the CEO of KNT saying, no, they're not trying to kill industries. They are trying to bring in competition. This is not competition.
It's called price stabilization.
It's not even price stabilization.
It is.
No.
It is. We'll invite Mutua.
Let him come and tell us.
We'll invite Mutua to come and tell us. Let me tell you a story before we go to the top of the hour. There's the Marriage Act, right? The Marriage Act is the one that manages marriages, Part 10 of the Marriage Act says that if you want to dissolve a marriage, there have to be one of these 3 grounds, or at least one. Either cruelty or adultery, or you come and say this marriage is irretrievably broken. Okay? Now, basically it says there has to be acrimony in a marriage for us to allow it to end. You can't just sit and feel and walk out of marriage. But there are some people who are going to court and saying, no, you should be allowed to feel and dissolve a marriage. Okay? There's a law firm called Coppola Attorneys and Consultancy who argue that sometimes there is no need for one to be cruel or adulterous for a marriage to end. According to a petition that they filed in court, one can feel to be incompatible with their partner, or the embers of love may die without any negative issue. So you don't have to go to court and look for a reason. Because right now you have to look for a reason so that you can take something to court and say, you see, I caught you, City. You were there. That was cheating. Or you were cruel to me because you did not provide. No. Can we just agree? And I go to court and say, I just don't feel this marriage. And I should be allowed to walk out of the marriage if I want to. This is what they're saying. They've gone to court and they filed a petition. And this petition has also been supported by the Legal Aid Clinic, which is backing the case, arguing that those who want to call it quits should be allowed to do so without dragging each other in the mud.
If you want to make the dissolution of marriage this difficult, then you should make getting married equally difficult.
You're saying this, the law currently, it's making it too hard.
No, they should make it difficult to get married so that you understand, you're not going to get into this thing in a hurry.
You can just go.
So we explain to you that when you want to get out, you'll have equal difficulties. But getting married is easy and simple.
So getting out should also be easy and simple.
Well, I mean, it follows. If you're following the trajectory of logic, I don't agree with that logic, but I'm saying the discussion is incomplete if all you're saying is, yes, it is easy to get into marriage, but let's make it difficult to get out. No. Make it difficult for people to get married. Yes.
The AG and Parliament, who are respondents in this particular case, have opposed that whole thing. They say the purpose and intent of these provisions rest on strong policy considerations, blah, blah, blah. The AG says allowing a peaceful walkout will destroy families. He is urging the court to dismiss that case. It would account to also the court intruding into Parliament's lawmaking mandate.
That statement is as confused as this whole issue. What do you mean? If people agree to get married, it's consensual. Can't they also agree to part? I mean, for heaven's sake, must it be contentious?
Don't just agree. Time for the news, 7 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Newswire, I'm Leah Obaga. Security is still beefed up around state houses in Nairobi and Kisumu following the lapse of a 14-day ultimatum by Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party leaders. Police officers erected roadblocks on major roads leading to the residences, a situation that is expected to be witnessed in the coming days. In a press conference, ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna stated that their leader Raila Odinga will today give directions on the mass action.
There are various programs that are going to be announced by the coalition. We were with Baba at the Senate yesterday, and he spoke to the media and told you to be patient. There will be a media address similar to this one to set out the next course of action that we will be taking as a coalition. We will be speaking to the country as the Azimio coalition to set out the next course of action.
The Seven Camps' UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala claims that the Azimio leader has made several attempts for a handshake with President William Ruto. Malala blamed the previous handshake for the high cost of living in the country, adding that Uhuru's government embezzled billions of government money, which he claims were used to fund Raila's campaigns.
Hii sarakasi yote ambayo inafanywa na watu wa Azimio ni kwamba wanatafuta handshake. They were sending people to see if they can have a talk with our president. Tunataka tuambie watu wa Azimio, don't contemplate. So tunawaambia kwamba hata mufanye maandamano kiasi gani, hata mukae kwa lami mara ngapi, this time round no handshake.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has vowed to take the necessary legal action against graft perpetrators to be identified after completion of investigations into high-pending bills in counties. EACC says it was keen to learn the results of the ongoing probes by county bosses over high-pending bills with a view of taking action in unearthed malpractices and dubious requests for payments for work that has not been done. EACC Commissioner Cecilia Mutuku says several county governments have engaged in an audit among its staff and pending bills running into billions of shillings, cases that are of keen interest to the Commission. A Mombasa traffic cop who died last week after he was run over by a motorist will be buried tomorrow. The family has confirmed that Police Constable Julius Marwa's body has already been moved from the Jotham Hospital morgue in Migori County. Marwa's remains will for an overnight stay at his home in Nyambeho village, Kuria East Sub-County before his burial. In the incident on Monday last week, a motorist dragged and ran over Marwa, who later succumbed to the multiple injuries he sustained. The autopsy report revealed that he passed away due to internal bleeding. Grade 7 parents are being advised to visit their children's schools and assess the learning situation. This comes after the Kenya National Union of Teachers and Kenya Primary School Head Association has lashed out at those calling for junior secondary schools to be domiciled in secondary schools. NAT Secretary General Collins Oyu warned that this would create confusion and more crisis. He further admitted that there were teething problems in JSS like lack of enough teachers and infrastructure, but was quick to add that this was being addressed.
I think the team in primary schools, if you can go down memory lanes, there's a group of teachers over 30,000 who had qualified to be secondary school teachers with up to first-class degrees. So I don't think it is wise to talk about where junior secondary should be domiciled at this time. Let us not confuse this nation. Let us not confuse this sector.
Capture Chairman Johnson Zioka on his part said that learning in JSS across the country was going on smoothly. He admitted that there were challenges earlier, but this had been addressed as the newly employed teachers continued to report in schools. Zioka said the only challenge currently facing the students were lack of enough textbooks, with the crisis set to be resolved by next week.
I want to tell the nation that I'm in touch with all the corners, all the primary schools in this country who are hosting junior secondary. And learning has taken off. Not only taking off, learning is taking place normally in the junior secondary schools domiciled in the primary. So anybody with information from a certain office alleging that there is confusion, they want them to create the notion of confusion which is not there.
That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
How's it looking? Well, Thika Superhighway is starting to do the thing that it does, but it's not so bad yet. It's only up to the KSMS. That's not so bad, is it? Kiambu Road is also not so bad. It's only going up to Mazingira House, but then after that it comes in. You know the situation that was Kiambu Road yesterday. Yesterday was horrible. So today, this is nothing to talk about. Mombasa Road is all good. Jogoo Road, you know the issues that happen in Jogoo Road around Makadara Hamza. That's where the problems are. Eastern Bypass, as you get to approach the City Cabanas area, that's where the build-up begins. Ngong Road is not bad apart from where the lights are, okay? And that's where you find the issues, Junction Mall and the rest as you come towards town. Waiyaki Way is good, but if there's anything that we can talk about and tell everybody else about, please let us know and let us alert everybody. Well, forgot to tell you Limuru Road is doing what Limuru Road does in the mornings.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Welcome to the second hour of the Situation Room today, the 9th of March 2023. Happy Thursday, wherever you are tuned in from. We are glad that you're following us, our conversation on SpiceFM, whether you are also on KTN Home or you are checking the conversation online on YouTube or Facebook. We have two guests who are joining us today. It is the first day of the magical Kenya Open 2023, and two guests who are here with us today are going to talk about this. Patrick Obath is the tournament director at the Kenya Open Golf Tournament, and Peter Wawero is the head of marketing at Absa Bank Kenya. They're here to talk about magical Kenya 2023. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
It's good to have you here. Patrick, Happy New Year.
Asante sana. Happy New Year to you too.
I haven't seen you since last year.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Peter.
Yep.
You as well.
Yeah. It seems like it's that season that we get to meet again.
And it's interesting that every time we talk to Peter from Absa Bank, we talk about sports.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It shows how diversified that we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you talked about running a marathon. Now here we are talking about playing golf.
But did he run a marathon? He was talking about the marathon.
Well, he talked about running a marathon.
Okay.
And he came here with a gentleman who clearly runs marathons.
And here I bring someone who clearly runs with golf. And is a golfer.
No, actually, I used to do the half marathon. Yeah, and until about 2-3 years ago, then I stopped. But I'm getting back.
Fantastic.
You should.
Yeah.
You should.
Fantastic.
You should. Gentlemen, let's see Timuga welcome you with the day's proverb.
Our proverbs for the whole of this week have been from the country of Rwanda. I'm sure you gentlemen know that Rwanda has the sort of reserves where the largest number of mountain gorillas are found.
Yes.
But it doesn't stop. The other primates as well are found in those forests. Meaning they have ensured that their wildlife heritage is very, very well protected. Anyway, the proverb for today is, a man's heart is not a sack to be opened to all. A man's heart is not a sack to be opened to all. Gunia is for carrying goods. And usually, when you get to your destination, the gunia is opened.
When you get to the market, Kwanza, if you take it to the market.
And everybody knows the contents.
A man's heart cannot be that.
No, it can't be that.
Deep.
Yes.
Do you think man here means gender, or man here is basically just being used as a universal term? Yeah.
For mankind.
For mankind.
See again,
that person's heart.
Or person kind.
Person kind.
Yes, I think. I think it's in this context.
It's a generic.
Yes.
It's a human's heart.
Yes.
It's not a gunia to be open for everyone to see.
It actually isn't even wise for your heart to be open for everyone to see.
For everyone to see.
Yes.
Patrick, what do you understand from this proverb?
I think that is simply the fact that the contents that are in there are so diverse that they will hit different people differently. So you don't want to unravel that thing because you never know what is going to come out. You see, it can be positive, it can be negative. So let the owner open and give you what they want to give you instead of you trying to open it to chokora inside and find out what you
find in that heart. Oh yeah, makes sense. Peter, do you agree, or do you have a different perspective?
See, when a man of wisdom speaks, you don't have anything to add. But I agree. Yeah, it's a deep proverb. I don't know where City gets these proverbs from.
Google.
No, he has contacts in all these countries. Right? But now his contact in Rwanda has worked for over the last 1 year, just looking for the best, most appropriate proverbs that City can share with us.
But he is right. I have relatives in Rwanda.
You have relatives in Rwanda?
I do.
Okay.
I have relatives in very many parts of the world.
Your footprints.
It's like I have relatives in very many parts of the country. Yes.
Great.
If relatives are not progeny, it's okay.
Yes.
If it's the other one, utakuwa na maswali utajibu. Now, the Magical Kenya Open 2023 is here with us again. All right?
Yeah.
You're the tournament director. Let's first of all start to understand what's so big about the Kenya Open.
The Kenya Open as an event, the way it has been structured, is almost an eye into Kenya, just like that sack. You know, it's the way we've put it together and worked with the European Tour, who owns a franchise for this particular tournament, is that we will get global coverage on TV. There's live TV for 4 hours every day, beginning today, both with local TV and international TV. And I'm glad to say it's the Standard Group that is going to give us the live TV cover. And for the global cover, it means that we can, within that 4-hour broadcast every day, we can put in vignettes about Kenya. Now, if you're to put that into terms of cash that you would have to lay out to get that prominence as this country, Kenya, we did a calculation the other day using CNN and using just slightly subprime time. And the cost you would have to pay was $63 million. Not for the 4 hours every day, but for the key cover that you get during that time. If you put adverts and whatever it is that we put.
And this is subprime.
Subprime.
So if it were prime,
it was probably would be about 120 million. So for that, as a country, we are sponsoring it with $2 million. Right?
That's how much you're spending.
That's how much you're spending on staging this event. And you're getting
in return,
using the current channels, the equivalent in advertising value is $23 million.
But Patrick,
so you're getting a return of 10 times.
You've used CNN to calculate. We're not going to be on CNN.
Yeah, no, I've said CNN is that level. The level that you're using for this particular event is 23. That's what we're getting.
Okay.
For our investment of 2 million.
I need a reference, Baba. I got a reference.
A reference.
That's just a reference. People always think put it on CNN, put it on BBC, put it on whatever it is.
So where are we going to be seen? Where is the Magical Kenya Open going to be broadcast?
It's going to be seen in over 500 million homes globally. And currently, we are players from 26 countries. Yeah? Playing here. The broadcast is seen in 160. And the reason I mentioned the 26 countries is that because the players are from those countries, you will find that there's peaks of viewing in those countries because they're watching their players. Yeah? And the way we structure it is that our tourism team, our business, business relations, whatever it is, as a country, we look at our source markets or our target markets. And then we make sure that whatever is put into that place is targeted to those people.
Yeah.
And so there's a whole system to the madness to make sure that we get value out of the Magical Kenya Open. But the other thing it does as well, obviously, we have is on the sports side itself. And we have an event we call the Safari Tour, where our local professionals and other professionals in the region also participate. And we normally give some slots for them to play in Magical Kenya Open. And that is improving the level of professional golf, not only in Kenya, but in the region. Right? And that is almost a development pipeline for professionals to grow their game. And eventually, if they're able to continue getting better and they win, they'll get cards now to play on the European Tour. So there's also that in terms of the development of golf. So those are the two key things I'd like to talk about, what this event means to us. And the third one is that guys just come and chill and get entertained. So from today, tomorrow, and the weekend, people can come, they can watch golf. We have a village where people can come and sit, enjoy their drinks, and in the evening, there is some music and whatever else people want to do at that time.
It's a moment to socialize, to relax and wind,
network with their friends. Yeah, that's there.
What's the pedigree of the professional golfers that we attract in the Kenya Open?
Currently, looking at the entry list for this year, it has improved because the prize money went from 1.1 million euros, which is about $1.4 million, to $2 million this year. And that has meant that because we have the Ryder Cup happening in Italy and between Europe and the States, people are looking for points to go there. So two of the players who are supposed to play in the Ryder Cup have actually chosen to come and play here. And that means that a lot of other players have followed them. So now the quality has gone right up. Now those Ryder Cup players attract a lot of attention in terms of coming here. And the people here who play golf will also want to come and watch them because of the quality of golf that they play. So I think those are some of the things that attract people. Also, we have about 10, 12 former winners on the DP World Tour around Europe and Asia and Africa. And so those guys also are attractive. And they also attract attention when broadcast is being done by TV. So the fact that you've got those guys playing means it heightens the viewership on the event.
Fantastic. Peter, ABSA is the official presenting partner of the Magical Kenya Open. What does that mean?
Thank you. And I think speaking to being the official presenting partner, one of the things I would like to highlight is that we've walked the journey with the Kenya Open and with the Kenya Open Golf Limited to bring the Magical Kenya Open. I think this is our 13th year that we're getting involved in the Kenya Open, consistently supporting them from being a title sponsor to being a presenting partner. And for us, it's very important to be involved in this. It's one of the commitments that we have to this country as part of playing our role in society. So you'll see us involved in other sports, and golf has been hallmark in terms of what we do. And the reason we do this is because as a bank, we believe in working with our communities, working together to get things done and bring their possibilities to life. And we see sports demonstrating this in a big way. If you see the tenacity of our sportsmen and women, if you see the work that they put into getting onto the world stage and getting to win, that really demonstrates our purpose as a bank, and it aligns with what we want to do, whether it's from a financial perspective or it's from just supporting communities to be the best that they can be. And so for us, being involved in the Magical Kenya Open is important. As Patrick said, the impact that the tournament has, not just on the golfing community, not just on what will be happening at Modega, but the entire economy. It's great. And we are therefore proud to be playing a role in ensuring that happens and bringing the global talent onto our soil.
When you say support the tournament and support the Kenya Open, please get granular for us. What do you really do? What comprises this support?
So we announced our partnership, a few weeks ago, where we committed up to 70 million shillings towards this tournament. Part of that is going directly into the organization of the tournament, into the logistics of the tournament, and part of that is going to ensure that the tournament is actually publicized, is amplified in a way that Kenyans and the world are aware that the Magical Kenya Open is happening. So in totality, we have put in a kitty of 70 million shillings that is going to support the Magical Kenya Open.
Okay. Patrick, golf has been considered an elitist sport. And there are those who presume, I'm one of them purely through ignorance, that it is not just elitist, it's expensive. How then do you grow the sport right from the very grassroots? How do you get young people who would be interested in playing golf to actually take an interest? We understand that about football, we've gotten it. Rugby, we've gotten it.
Yeah. Golf is let me deconstruct it the way I did it for some friends of mine almost 20 years ago. And these are friends of mine who used to sit in a bar on a Saturday and drink and enjoy watching football and whatever it is. And they'd be there with the nyama choma from 12 o'clock watching football until 8 o'clock at night. Now it turns into a social into the evening. And then they do the same on Sunday. I tried to put that together in terms of the amount of money they spend every weekend just doing that. And if you look at that amount of money and you do it every weekend, and even if you do it just for sort of 3/4 of the year, how much money would you spend? And I want everybody just do your own calculation if you did that, right? Mine was that I would probably spend, in today's day, I would probably spend 20, 30K. Or even if you're spending just 5K.
Per weekend.
Per weekend.
Right.
Right? So put all that together. And in a year, it will be 250,000 if you're spending 5K per weekend. Now, let's look at if you did golf instead of doing that. I would choose a golf course that is affordable. So I'd probably pay about 120,000 shillings to join the golf course for the year. Then I'd buy a basic set of clubs. That would probably cost me about 80,000. Where are we? We're at 200,000.
Yep.
Then I'd get some lessons, probably another 20,000. 220,000. And I am ready to play. Now, if I play regularly, I pay my caddy 1,000 shillings every time they play. But again, at the kind of club I join, I'll probably be paying about 700. So if I play 3 times a week, that is 2,100 times the number of weeks you play. So my outlay for the whole year is probably going to be about, say, 350,000 shillings. What do I get back for it? Now deduct 70% of what I would have spent on my nyamachoma and whatever it is and so forth, and put it back towards golf, as part of my investment. The payback is actually 2 years in total, slightly over 2 years, in terms of what I have not spent, but I'm not playing with golf. But the other payback that you get is that you get to walk 10 kilometers every time you play in an area that has got trees and whatever it is, so it is definitely a very good atmosphere, and you're exercising as an individual. So on a personal basis, to justify it, go through that motion and see whether golf makes sense. So that's the first one. Take it away from elitist. It can be afforded. Don't look at the clubs that you pay $1 million, because you can pay 120,000 around the country, and those are more than the ones that you pay $1 million. Those are sort of top level clubs. And you go around the country, you go to Eldoret, you go to Kitale, you go to Kisumu, you go to Nyeri, you go to all those places. They are actually golf courses that it would cost you much less than it would to be in a Muthaiga or whatever that people associate golf with. So let's come down to basics on that one. Now, so that is just removing the elitist thing around it. Let's take the second element. A lot of the people who are playing as professionals, as Kenyans in the Kenya Open, started their life carrying bags at golf courses, right? So those guys are probably earning 700 shillings a day if they carry a bag. Now, those people have been able to become professionals with the 700 shillings a day they were earning. If they're carrying a bag every day, they normally carry maybe 3 or 4 times a week. But they've been able, because the clubs are open, to practice, and because they had the skills, they are actually able to become good golfers at that kind of money. And even now, they still do caddy as part of how they earn their money. Third, in terms of developing golf, currently every club is expected and is being asked to reach out within the community where that club is located, go to the primary schools that are around them, take a couple of golf clubs, 3 or 4, and a sack of balls, and just get the kids to play. Just let them hit that thing in their football field. That's all they need. And when they've hit in the football field, you pick up the talent, and then you bring them to the golf club, and you expose them to golf through that way. Then they join the Junior Golf Foundation, which they pay 150 shillings a year. The clubs pay for them to do that. And that allows them to play anywhere as juniors. So there are, from where golf was, which was an elite thing 30 years ago, where these hallowed grounds of golf courses, you couldn't get in, I think it has opened up a lot more than what was there. So golf, yes, was thought to be an elitist thing. There are still some clubs that are elite and you have to pay big bucks to get in, but generally golf is accessible. I rest my case.
Apart from that direct benefit of, I'll get to walk 10 kilometers every time, for those that are going professional,
yes,
what's the benefit?
The professionals earn money. They earn cash when they play. So like in the Kenya Open, the magical Kenya Open that is happening now, the prize purse is about $2 million. Yeah? But the winner in Kenya shillings will take 35 million shillings away. And the guys who make the cut, or the guys who remain after you remove the guys who are not really good, so it's about half the field remains, the lowest person there will probably receive close to about 60, 70,000 shillings. Yeah? So there's that range of prize money that they can get. The safari tour which we organize here is the same thing, right? The local players, the professionals play in the safari tour, and they get, the winner there normally gets about 300,000 shillings, and the lowest person after making the cut normally earns about 20,000 shillings. So they play for money at that level, and we are organizing this thing called the safari tour to be able to give them constant competition where they can earn money.
Yeah.
Because that is what a professional should do. And before 5 years ago, that never used to happen in this country because there was nobody organizing a tour for them. And again, our partnership with ABSA, when we had, over these years that we've had, allowed us to start that professional tour. Those made about 6 years ago. And we are still working with ABSA on the tour to make these professionals have something they can play for throughout the year.
Okay.
So this safari tour takes place at the same time as the Kenya Open?
No. It takes place in the period between one Kenya Open and the next. So our professionals have something to play for, but it also gives them practice.
It's like a league.
It's like a league. Yeah. That they play, 10, 12 events, and they earn points, depending on where they finish in each event. And then at the end of the season, the top 8 in terms of points are the ones we select to play in the Kenya Open.
Let's take a break on that note. We'll continue just trying to talk about, and understanding the benefits of golf. The magical Kenya Open begins today, ends on Sunday, and today is a pro-am, and of course we can all access it. It's happening at the Muthaiga Golf Club again this year. It's we'll talk about how you can access it, what you can do. ABSA is a presenting partner. They'll tell us what we can go and enjoy in the village and what to sample there. Patrick Obath is a tournament director for the Kenya Open Golf Tournament. He's talking about the kind of players that it has attracted, both locally and internationally, the kind of exposure that it gives the country, and also that it gives this particular tournament globally. This is what we're talking about. If you're thinking of flying, think and calculate, do the math the way Patrick has just done the math for us in terms of golf. Okay? So you want to fly, you're living here, you're going to any part of the world, let's say Australia, Southeast Asia, the Americas. You want to enjoy some good cuisine. You want to enjoy some good treatment aboard. If you think of all those things, then you probably just do the math. You'll find yourself actually saying, I should fly either first class or business with Emirates, because I get all that gourmet cuisine. You get welcomed aboard the flight with a glass of champagne. You get this personalized treatment. You sleep on a flat bed aboard a plane. You get covered not with your own jacket that you carried. No, you actually get duvets, the best linen. Cover yourself. You get to meet with other people see that whole, you can walk on the plane. You network with other people on the flight. Do the math and you'll see, fly better, business or first class with Emirates.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. That's an eclipse. You don't do that.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person, or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is a hustler?
So who's a hustler? Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free. Kenya imeshikwa na mateka. It's under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence. You can't even
Windows
sleep inside.
Up near the ceiling.
Yes. And if you walk there at midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
The things people will believe.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
So we expect to have a sunny day in Nairobi today. It's already sunny. Highs of 29 later. Right now, the degrees at 17 degrees. 25, a sunny day in Mombasa. Highs of 32. Malindi, mostly sunny at 31. Kisumu, sunny day at 32 highs. It's a sunny morning with 12 degrees in Nyeri. It's going to rise to 28 later. Nakuru, sunny day at 30. Kakamega, sunny day at 28. Dar es Salaam, mostly sunny day at 32. Kampala, clear skies at 30. Johannesburg, partly cloudy at 29. Kinshasa, mostly clear skies at 33. London, they are waking up to a cloudy morning at 3, and it's going to rise to 10 degrees later and then drop to 3. It's clear night in New York. They will wake up to 10 degrees and then it'll drop again to 1. Paris, cloudy morning, rising to 15 and then dropping to 8. And Beijing, a mostly sunny afternoon, highs of 15, lows of 5.
I have a brother. He was a pilot. He was laid off. He came to a policeman. He messed up.
He went from a pilot to a policeman.
Exactly.
He stole a jet.
Yeah.
In fact, you should be lucky he was not court-martialed.
The Spice Drive. Big hair and the biggest hits from the best decade.
Indeed, it's all about hashtag Spice Drive, hashtag Quatch, KWACH, 3 to 7 in the PM.
The Spice Drive, only on 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Damn.
Limuru Road is busy both ways, especially at the junctions with the various Parklands avenues. But be patient. Kiambu Road is not looking as bad as it was looking at this time yesterday, but it's still busy. It's moving. Thika Superhighway, the traffic stretches all the way to KCA University and beyond. But then it's all because of this tunnel called what? The Wangari Maathai Tunnel. Ngong Road, it's busy at the Junction Mall with the lights. Joining of Naivasha Road and Gitanga Road as well is also looking busy. And then you get James Gishuru Road busy as you approach Westlands, as you approach the Wayakiwe Junction. Mombasa Road is not busy at all. Only issue is Uhuru Highway within the CBD, and this is after Museum Hill, coming towards town, Kenyatta Avenue and University Way. Nothing to report on Jogoo Road, nothing to report in the bypass. Says everything else is looking good. We'll take a look again in half an hour.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
8. We continue our conversation with the two gentlemen, Peter Awero, Head of Marketing at Absa Bank, and the tournament director of the Kenya Open Golf Tournament, Patrick Obath. Magical Kenya Open 2023 at the Muthaiga Golf Club opens today and runs until Sunday. Why should we come today, Peter?
Well, I think there's a lot that is happening at Muthaiga. As Patrick said, for those who are following golf, definitely this is a global type of an event, so the best golf players come out and watch them. But besides that, there's a lot of activity that is going to be happening at the village. I think for the last couple of years, we have made sure that the village is a vibrant place where you get to interact, you get to relax. But one of the things that as Patrick was talking about the benefits of golf, he didn't mention is around the connection that you make on the golf course, whether you're playing or not. So what we are saying is that this weekend and starting today, you've got the right place to come and connect, the right place to come and watch the greatest golf that would be happening in the region, and basically bring your family out. It's a family event. We've got areas set up for kid activities, and therefore it's the right place to be this weekend starting today.
I just wanted to ask, Absa is the presenting partner What does presenting partner mean?
Well, presenting partner goes beyond the cash injection or the sponsorship money that we put into this. I think it also highlights the journey that we take or we have taken with the Kenya Open organizers to make sure that the event of this magnitude happens in Kenya. So we are closely involved in all the preparations that are happening. We offer our expertise in terms of areas that we can contribute towards the logistics and making sure that this event takes place. So we walk the journey. We walk the journey with the organizers of the Kenya Open to make sure that everything goes well.
Do you participate in what Patrick was telling us, for example, looking at the primary schools that are near golf clubs and golf courses and going to them and trying to introduce young children into golf?
So I'll say indirectly we do. And I say indirectly because beyond being involved in the Magical Kenya Open, we do get involved in supporting the sport of golf across the country, either through the safari tour, as Patrick highlighted, getting involved in the safari tour, which not only contributes towards the growth of the talent for the professionals, but also for the amateurs. Yeah, you and I who would be playing at the various clubs, but also we look at that as a platform where we engage with the wider stakeholders around the different areas where we do host these tournaments. And one of the stakeholders that we look at is the young talent, the upcoming golfers, whether it's the junior golfers or, as you said, those that are being trained from the nearby primary school by the various clubs. So by supporting the clubs in their various activities, we therefore indirectly support that growth of the talent.
Patrick, this question is to you, is question 1B, or the question I asked previously. When you choose the primary schools that are near the golf clubs, Muthaiga is near Mathare. Now, how many primary schools in the Mathare area specifically? Because this is an area that's predominantly disadvantaged economically. Okay, let me rephrase the question. Are there schools within this area that the golfing fraternity at Muthaiga have reached out to, have brought into the sport?
The one I'm aware of, and we were involved with them yesterday in terms of doing tree planting in their compound, is Muthaiga Primary School, which is right, I think it's about half a kilometer from the club. They've reached out, and I can't say exactly which one. There's one across the road near Mathare Hospital that they've reached out to as well. So they've got two schools that are being supported by Muthaiga. I know better the out-of-town ones because those ones, somewhere like Nakuru Golf Club, they've got almost every single primary school within 5 kilometers.
Nakuru. Is it Njoro or Nakuru?
Nakuru, and there's Njoro as well. Because there's one in Nakuru, just above the showground. There's a golf club there. And then there's Njoro also, but Njoro obviously is the catchment that you've got is basically those people in the primary schools and in the market. If you see some of the people playing there are all people from just that community. That's a really good example of a rural club getting people together. My own old club, which was Nyeri. We had the Nyeri Primary School, which is within the elite area, so to speak. But you also had there's Kongowea Primary School, and you had one in Kisauni and so forth. So that whole area, they are also coming into that school. Others would drive from Tuapa to come. These ones are sort of more of the high level. So you had 40 kids, which was a good mix of the haves and the have-nots coming to be together. And because of playing golf at that place, they could actually create a belief in themselves, the quote have-nots, that they have an ability. And those are some of the things that when you bring a mix of kids together, and what brings them together is to practice golf, it creates a certain mindset. And those are some of the things that golf brings to people. Mindset changes, opportunities that they see, and so forth. So I've answered you in a very roundabout way, but there are clubs.
No, actually, it isn't roundabout. Yeah. It's actually precise because, you see, I talked about demystifying.
Yeah.
And there's no better way of demystifying elitism by actually getting people involved. Because if you bring people from the heart of Mathare
Yeah.
And they mix and mingle with children from Muthaiga Primary School and the environs of that particular region. You see, it's that introduction and that exposure that helps demystify the sport. Because the thing that brings them together is the sport.
The sport,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You see, rugby was an elitist sport for the longest time.
Yes, that is true.
It was only played in a few schools here in Nairobi. Yes. And then perhaps in Mombasa, or in perhaps the huge settler farming communities.
Yeah.
But that is no longer the case.
Absolutely.
And you can see what it is that has done to the sport.
Yeah, in fact, when you look at rugby, some of the big names in here came from sort of Western Kenya, which never really had rugby for a long, long time.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. That is what this whole reach out at the starter level. We're hoping that within about 5 to 7 years, you're going to see that impact flow through, not only in demystifying the game, but also changing the demographics that you're seeing in these clubs that we're talking about. Because if somebody takes up a sport and they're really good at it, then you will find that Patrick Obath might say, hey, that person from Mathare that's a talent and they need support. And what has happened in a lot of the clubs is that exactly that. People who are not able to join, say Muthaiga, a member has actually gone and paid their membership when they've seen them and supported them all the way through. And a lot of the people who've been supported that way either have gone on to schools and they've been able to perform and get golf scholarships to go abroad, or they become professionals in Kenya and began to work at golf at an early level.
There's a gentleman with whom you were members at Mombasa Sports Club, Asif Karim.
Yes.
Now, Asif Karim and his brother went to the US on a tennis scholarship.
Yes.
And they learned their tennis in that very place.
Yes.
You see, last week, was it this week or last week when we had Ruben Dolo?
It was last week.
Last week.
Yeah.
Now, when Ruben Dolo was telling us his story, it was boxing. And what boxing did to the lives of many young men in Eastlands. But then broaden the scope and look at how football also flourished in that area.
Yes.
Now, broaden that scope and consider sports of every kind being flourishing in the country. See, it gives young people an avenue to channel their energies.
Absolutely, and I like that CT because when you ask us as ABSA, why do we get involved in this in the sports? It's seeing that potential and seeing how these young men and women overcome obstacles to get best at what they do. So if you look at a lot of our talent, whether it's in golf, whether it's in tennis, as you said, athletics, there's a lot of personal effort, and that's what Patrick referred to as mindset, personal effort to overcome the obstacles that you have to become the best. And we even have a word for it at ABSA. We call that Africanacity, the unique way that we get things done here on the continent. So you'll find that all of us have overcome obstacles to be where we are at, and sporting world demonstrates that in a big way.
There are many people who get into golf for social connections, for recreation, for their own benefit. We go there, we agree, we are meeting, we are playing one another, we spend time together walking the 10 kilometers up and down the field, the course, and that's that. And then there are those who get into it for professional purposes. Now, those are just the players in the field. How many other people are involved in the golf ecosystem?
Actually, you're saying that, and that is what was going through my mind as Peter was talking. Some of the things that golf does is just at the golf club. Let's talk about that alone. Yeah, at the golf club, we also have people who look after the course. Now, these are people who are completely unsung. Now, the person who looks after the course, I'm saying it almost flippantly, but they look after grass. Now, people think looking after grass is a joke. But that surface that people play on is key. Now, you can imagine that those people, because of the skills they've learned, if things were right, and we're trying to make that argument, they can also be used to look after stadia, which is grass. They can be used to improve football fields in schools, which require grass and whatever. You name it, any place where there is activity, grass needs to be looked after, or turf for that matter. Now, we don't have people who understand turf as well as people who move to a golf course. So we are pushing with the county governments to say, pick up these people who are learning to do, look after the golf course, and use them in the assets that you have, your schools, football fields, your parks, whatever it is, and you'll create much better recreational facilities for the citizens, for the members of that community from golf. So that's just directly from what people learn at the golf course. That is an opportunity. The golf, say the Magical Kenya Open, if you look at just the ecosystem that is involved in putting that event on, you have almost everybody involved. You have catering people, you have security, you have transport, you have hotels where people are staying, everything. So around just this one event, there are so many spin-offs that happen. But also around golf clubs in their own way, the people that they support in that community who work within the golf course are actually quite a lot. If you look at the staff who look after the golf course, that I say in Mudaga is probably the total complement of staff in Mudaga, where I am and where I was in Nyeri, would probably be in the range of about 300 to 400 as an ecosystem in that place that are looking. And these are guys who are earning their livelihood. And I think for the guys who are economists, I think you have the multiplier effect is about the number of people impacted is about 6 or something like that by one person who's getting a livelihood out of that place. So I think whilst people see the people playing golf on one side, the ecosystem they support is actually quite big.
It's a big one.
It's a very big ecosystem.
So you talked about groundsmen.
Yeah.
They're caddies.
Yes.
Who else?
There's a ground down staff. There's a caddies. There is also the people who look after you in the golf course. There's the caterers, the waiters, or whatever it is, all those people that you have within the golf course. And then you've got all the suppliers who supply stuff to the golf course. There's food, there's mayai, nini, kila kitu that comes into that place. Just expand that. That is the ecosystem that a golf course has. Yeah, and the community, the invisible community that is being supported is quite large.
It's quite large.
Yeah.
I'm looking at what you said. For example, you said a caddy earns on average 700 bob per day.
Yeah.
Right? And then they will maybe do this for 3 days a week.
Yeah.
So that's about 2,100 a week, which means in a month they're earning about 8,400. Is that good enough for? If you think it's golf, you're supporting golfers, you're supporting people who are able to spend 300,000 shillings to play the golf in a year. Is it okay to pay them 8,500 a month?
No, you see what I spend as a golfer, if I play every day, is 700 times 7. And multiply that in a month, I'm actually putting quite a bit of money, right? So that caddy who's caddying will probably do 3 days with me, 3 days with another person, and so forth and so on. Yeah. So for me, that is how much I'm pumping into that ecosystem.
Okay, but
now it is spread across so many people.
For him, on average, how much is a caddy taking home?
A caddy would normally take home about 12 to 15,000 shillings a month.
Okay,
that is roughly what they take home, right? And that is way above the minimum wage in this country. Yeah, so they're actually earning good money from that place.
Minimum wage is 14,000.
No, is it 40,000?
Yes.
So this guy is taking 12 to 15. Yeah, which is good.
Which is just at minimum wage.
Yeah.
Should they be earning more?
They should be earning more, and that is if we have more golfers and they can carry more bags.
Yeah.
Your point is well made, Patrick.
And also, let me just add that.
Yes.
If you look at, they're actually graded in different places. In Nairobi, and caddy earns on average 12,000 shillings, 1,200 shillings a day.
Okay.
Right? If you go to Nyeri, they're earning 700. Right? If you go to Nakuru, they're probably earning about 900 shillings a day. So it is pegged on the economy where they live. Right? So in Mudaga, if they're earning 1,200 a day times 30 days, that's not bad money for working in Nairobi. Okay. Yeah. So I think, whilst it may look whatever, I think the opportunity that it presents at all those levels is quite good. Yeah, and there is actually the golf clubs normally meet together, and they put those kind of costs so that no golf club is undercutting another one. They all get the same, right? And for example, in the Kenya Open, we take the same caddy ranks.
Yep.
And when the Kenya Open is happening, I think we are currently paying them about 3,000 shillings a day.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
For whatever they're doing for us So as caddies that have been earning
on tournament days,
on the Kenya Open, we're doing that for all the people who they're doing board caddy. They're doing different things, but the key thing is that they understand the game of golf.
Yes.
So when they're working on a golf course as caddies, they've got the presence of mind to understand what is going on in that place.
You know, I'm going with this. Is I'm looking at one of the routes for, let's say, the Kenyan who would not be able to afford 200,000 shillings to actually play golf in a year. One of the routes is going through, being a support staff.
Yeah. Yes.
And then you get time on the golf course, and then you get to learn, and then you go into professionalism, and then this is when you hope that now this will pay for you.
Yeah.
So the attraction here is what I'm actually starting with.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so will you really go back home and justify this and say, okay, I'm spending my day at the golf course because I'm going to earn 15,000 shillings vis-a-vis where else could I have spent the day and how much more could I have? And are we losing out on opportunities to actually attract people to come and work in this ecosystem and then tap their talent and develop some talent?
We've taken the caddies who are at the lowest level, and there's other people who are also working within that ecosystem. We've got golf administrators, we've got people who are working in the clubs and so forth, and they're earning a lot more, right? So it's an ecosystem that has got different levels of earning in the golf course, and that is, I think, good that we are actually doing that. Some of the developmental opportunities for the guy who is earning the 1,200, the 700 shillings a day, if they're good at whatever they're doing, what sometimes happens, they become what in the English language is called, CT, correct me, journeyman, right? And a journeyman is somebody who takes advantage of the club facilities whilst working at the club. So instead of being paid, they begin to learn something else at the club. So they're being paid a certain amount, and the top-up is the ability to learn a new skill in the place, right? So there are caddies who they caddy, but they are employed by the club to do things other than caddying, because they can caddy on certain days, and other days they can be gainfully employed in the club. And that allows them to develop their own skills in different areas. And after some time, they actually then they take on something else. And some of the professionals actually joined the club as journeymen, and they became members of the club because of what they were doing, and they're able to play regularly and go up. But because they're doing other small jobs at the club, that paid for their membership.
That pays for the membership.
Yeah. And I think we have seen that talent amongst some of the people that we have worked with in the past in terms of supporting the professionals. We'll give you their stories, and their stories start actually from caddying or even being ball pickers on the golf courses. So as you say, Eric, it's from that ecosystem, then you are able to develop talent, and that talent actually shines and becomes our leading professionals. So there is that opportunity. And I think one of the things that we've also done in the past is to look at the caddies and say they're part of the golfing ecosystem. So even as we support either the amateur or the professional players, we've had an input that we've done into caddy tournaments, because they have their own tournaments, to support them to hold these tournaments. A few years back, we actually worked with as part of our group, because we are a Pan-African group, we had an opportunity to take some caddies to South Africa to just expose them, because if you look at what happens on a global at a global level, especially for the professional players, the caddies are as good as their players, and they earn equally good money. So we got that opportunity to expose our caddies to professional training, and we took two caddies from Kenya to do that.
You know, those of us who don't play golf but read about it have been led to believe from our readings that a professional golf player is as good as a caddy.
Correct, 100% correct. Let us look at the person who won the Kenya Open last year, Ashin Wu. He's from China. Now, he came with this international caddy to Kenya. And I don't know what, the caddy had an illness on the Wednesday. So he was desperately looking for a caddy. So at the club, we normally let the club choose a caddy. So they chose him one of the best caddies in Kenya, in the club. And that guy went and he caddied for that person. And when we were talking to him later on, he actually won the event with a caddy that he was given the day before the event started. But because the caddy knew that course very well.
Yes.
Yeah? That is the person, he said, won the game for him. He said, I believed everything that person said. He told me, place your putt here, and I would do that, and it would fall. He would tell me, this club, I think, is the one you need because of this, that, and the other.
Right.
So that caddy, who we think, for us, we just pay him that a small amount of money. That guy has actually got a lot of knowledge.
He's actually like your manager on the field.
He's your manager on the course. And he was able to manage a professional player. The same guy who Patrick Obath pays 1,200 bob a day. Yeah, whatever. This guy won 30 million shillings. And I know that Caddy was paid a substantial amount of money as a result for that. Yeah. So it wasn't what the Caddies are normally paid. I mean, I'd hazard a guess. I think he probably got paid something like about 500,000 shillings.
Good stuff. Right, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today. And yes, we'll be coming. The Magical Kenya Open begins today and ends on Sunday at the Muthaiga Golf Club. The official presenting partner is Absa Kenya, and the head of marketing, Peter Awero, has been one of the guests that we have this morning, and tournament director, Patrick Obath. Keep it here for more conversations. Good morning, 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Morning, this is the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga. UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala has defended the move by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua to request Treasury to release money. Malala, while being interviewed on a local TV station, says the DP asked for the money because there was no funds that could be used in his office.
Just a day after we were told that 15 billion shillings was spent in 26 minutes. Today, we have a headline here trying to shift focus from that 15 billion to Gachagua. I would like to remind Kenyans that you are not dealing with Gachagua, the person.
Malala says the person who should instead be investigated is former President Uhuru Kenyatta for allegedly asking for the release of money to Treasury through a WhatsApp group.
The person who bears the greatest burden here is the former head of state, who was giving instructions through a WhatsApp chat. If a WhatsApp chat can make somebody approve 26 billion, that's the highest level of misappropriation of public funds, and therefore we must ask ourselves, where was this money going to? 4 days to the elections. Definitely, that money was going to aid the Handshake brothers in partaking election expenses.
Kenya has endorsed the candidature of Ajay Banga as the next president for the World Bank Group. President William Ruto said Banga has the credentials that will take the Bretton Woods institution to the next level. He cited gender, underdevelopment, agriculture and climate change. The president argued that Banga's rich experience will help respond in time to the emerging economic challenges, deliver transformative results and drive the world to prosperity. Last month, the United States of America nominated Banga for the World Bank top job. Legislators from pastoralist communities have implored President William Ruto to invoke Article 2413 of the Constitution and deploy the military to flush out bandits wreaking havoc in the North Rift region. According to the legislators, the current and ongoing joint operation led by the police in the region has failed to deter bandit attacks, with the latest incident seeing a pair of medics lose their lives on Tuesday in two separate incidents in Aror and Chesogon areas of Elgeyo-Marakwet County. Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei, Sako MP Dido Raso urged the president to take charge of the situation.
It is now the time to deploy the military to take lead in that operation going on in North Rift under Article 241(3)(c), so that Parliament must be approached as soon as it's reasonably possible for us as members of Parliament to give the military the go-ahead to discharge their duties to protect lives and properties.
We cannot have where people are being killed in a shopping center, like yesterday, two medics that do not have even relationship with the livestock. The people who are grazing or pastures are being killed in our centers, yet it is business as usual. Mr. President, it is no longer business as usual. As Parliament, we are ready to pass that approval of allowing you to deploy military as soon as even tomorrow to allow those region schools to be reopened and the other region infrastructure and many other issues.
Mama Grace Onyango, Kisumu's first woman mayor and MP, is dead. Onyango passed away while on medication at the Jaramogi Teaching and Referral Hospital. Her grandson, Edward Onyango, confirmed she had developed age-related complications. She served as Kisumu mayor in post-independence era from 1965 to 1969 before proceeding to Parliament. Onyango was also the first woman to sit on the Speaker's chair as temporary Deputy Speaker and served as Deputy Speaker from 1979 to 1984. Her death comes at a time that women across the country have celebrated her as they mark the International Women's Day. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission in Bungoma is investigating 3 people of attempted bribery during the ongoing recruitment of Kenya Forest Services at Bungoma Airstrip. Western Regional EACC Manager Christine Natome says that Aberdare National Park Ranger Philip Wessa was trying to recruit Constant Mulongo, who is his brother-in-law. The EACC Regional Manager states that upon conducting a search on the culprits, they recovered bribe money worth 240,000 shillings in cash. And in the international scene, more than 46,000 users reported issues with accessing the photo sharing platform in the United States at the peak of the outage, according to Down Detector, which tracks outages by collating status reports from a number of sources, including user submitted errors on its platform. Down Detector showed about 2,000 affected users from the UK and more than 1,000 reports, each from India and Australia. That's the Newswire. I'm La Ubaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Kiambu Road today is nothing close to yesterday. Kiambu Road today is very good. It's moving. It's actually clear. The only traffic is around Muthaiga as you get towards Thika Superhighway. Thika Road is also not looking so bad. Well, it's not looking so good either. It's actually the traffic is starting at the Outer Ring junction, coming all the way up to the Muthaiga interchange, and then it clears up. Mombasa Road is not bad. Then there's something here that's happening in, let me just zoom in, and this is United Nations Avenue. Oh, it's that time. Yeah. So everybody else who is getting to work, getting in and out of UN Avenue, it's busy. And then Ruaka, Limuru Road into, heading into Gigiri there, it's also very busy. Ngong Road, because of the lights, the areas that are busy, but then the rest are not so bad at all. Mombasa Road, we have nothing to talk about. Jogoo Road, nothing to talk about. The bypass is nothing to talk about. If there's anything to talk about, let us know. We'll tell everybody else. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start
Indeed
your
it
day.
is. It's 7:08. Good morning and welcome to the third hour of The Situation Room. We're here until 10 a.m. every weekday morning on Spice FM, on KTN Home, live streaming the show on YouTube and Facebook. It's the first and only 4 hours of audio-visual, pure morning talk show on radio and TV in Kenya. And I dare say actually in East Africa. Okay? And thank you very much for choosing this as the only way to start your day. We are talking about the magical Kenya Open today because it begins today. For the 54th year, the Kenya Open Golf Tournament is taking place in the country. The first one was in 1967. This one is the Magical Kenya Open. Magical Kenya are the title sponsors. We're talking about great exposure internationally. We're talking about many countries getting to see Kenya. And like Patrick Obath, who is the tournament director, was telling us in the previous hour, through this kind of multiple country TV coverage, Kenya is able to market itself. Through the very many professionals who come to the country to play in Kenya, Kenya is also able to market itself. Now, because of the kind of profile of this tournament, we are then also able to attract very many Kenyans who get to start playing golf, who get to start appreciating golf, who get to start playing golf, and eventually they become professionals. They earn money out of this. This time we want to talk about how we can nurture Kenyan golfers, because we're talking about very many international golfers. How do we nurture Kenyan golfers? Joining us for that conversation is Dr. Rakesh Rao. He is the Group CEO of Crown Paints PLC, Kenya. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Karibu sana. Now, of course, we're going to be talking about golf and how you paint golf green and everything else. We have some of the products that you sell as Crown Paints. We have the Silk Vinyl Emulsion, the Vinyl Matte Emulsion Extreme, and the others. You'll tell us whether you're the one who actually makes them with Tiger Golf Club, going to look green throughout this season. It's your paint, this and more. But City is going to welcome you with the day's proverb. City?
Yes, every week we have a proverb. We choose a country and then we ensure that we inform our listeners and our viewers with proverbs from that country. So the whole of this week we've been in the country of Rwanda.
Oh, great.
Yes. A man's heart is not a sack opened to all. A man's heart is not a sack opened to all.
What do you understand from that proverb, Rakesh?
I really don't know.
When you hear it,
what comes to mind?
What comes to mind? What do you think the Rwandese are saying?
No, I'm not very good on those type of language, local language.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if someone says somebody has an open heart, what do you think they mean?
Open heart is welcoming.
Yes.
It's welcoming forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Yeah.
So, but when you say welcoming also, when you say you open your heart, it also means you tell people the things you think, the things you feel. Yes, the English say somebody who wears their heart on their sleeves. That's what they say.
Yes.
Yes. And now the proverb seems to be saying, someone's heart, what is in someone's heart, is never really opened to all.
Yeah, it's depend on the person,
Yes.
I think what generally happen, everything can be customized, everything be misinterpreted and interpreted in such a different way,
Yes.
So it's just the way the people are, the way the people think, the way you communicate, and how other people are taking the message. So it's always create a confusion. You can be the great message can be taken in a negative way, and negative message can be taken in a positive way. So it's just a matter of mindset and frame of mind in particular time what people are thinking.
I couldn't have put it any better.
Very well said.
Yes.
Rakesh, introduce us to Crown Paints. Well, not really introduce. There are very many people who've seen Crown Paints adverts over the very many years.
If you like it,
crown it.
Crown it.
Right. Tell us about Crown Paints.
I think Crown Paints has been established in 1958. It's more than 64 years old brand.
It's older than Kenya.
Older than Kenya in this country. And many ownership hands has been changed. Then the company become listed companies in 92. And after that, our family, Charania family, has take over this 65% shareholding. And after that, we've been running this company for 96. I had joined in 2005. So the particular I know 2005 onwards, where when I came to this country, we're doing a turnover of 1 billion shillings approximately. And now we are close to around 13 billion shillings turnover. So we are by almost 13 times in this country, and thanks to all Kenyans who support it and make this brand big, So it's a professional first choice, housewife first choice, and all Kenyan first choice of paints. If they would like to ask, anyone would like to ask paints, then the name will come as Crown. If you like it Crown, that people love it, Yeah.
if you like it.
Crown it.
Crown it. It's an old company. 1958 is actually talks about proper heritage of a company. When we talk about 13 billion shillings turnover in a year, are you the market leaders?
Of course.
Like
there's no doubt about it.
You have the largest market share.
No doubt about it.
Paint industry in the country.
Yes.
What's that market share? Was it 20%?
I think we
40,
have
70?
two categories product. One is premium and one is economy. So a premium market or market share is more than 60% in this country. Overall market, if you talk about premium economy both put together, we should be holding by 38% market share. Our market share in economy is a little bit lesser because there was when 2005, 10 paint company was there. Now today 100 paint companies. So a lot of economy brands are mushrooming in this country. So it's good for Kenyan also. They get a cheaper brand options. So that is one of the key factor where economy brands basically market share is very difficult to define because we don't get those data for those companies. So that's why we say, and we just talk because we known as a premium brand. So we talk about more premium market share. Yeah. Yes.
And a 60% market share for the premium brand, that's huge.
Yeah.
Do you manufacture your paints locally?
Everything locally.
From scratch, from beginning to end?
Yes. We only import few car paints, which is very high-tech products, only for all metallic color car paints, which we importing, but it's a mere maybe 2% of our turnover. So most of things we manufacturing here locally.
Is your market only Kenya or does it cross?
No, we are a regional player and we have 5 manufacturing facilities across the East Africa. So we are in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda. Kenya, we have 2 manufacturing plant and all other countries we have 1 manufacturing plant. So we produce our paint locally in each and every country.
When you say you have 2 in Kenya, so where are they located? I'm sure. First, there's Nairobi.
Yeah, second is in Kisumu.
The one on the side of the road?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
When you hear that, you see it and you can locate it.
I even saw it being built. I actually see it. That's why I said on the side, it's like I'm actually there seeing it. Yes.
The fully semi-automatic plant is run by 35 people and is completely on automations. So main intervention is not involved in the whole process. The whole the way it's a PLC base.
Yeah.
All RMs comes automatically on the mills. It has a program how to mix the additives and all other raw materials. After that, is automatically milling start place, and automatically it get filled. And it's the best plant so far any company has in country.
When you talk about automation, if you compare the automated plants and the other one that's not as, I'm sure the other one is also automated, well, just not as automated as the Kisumu one, what does it give you? What are the benefits that you get?
I think the most important is consistent quality, improve the internal efficiencies. Definitely is give the cost benefit to us because my manufacturing cost goes down by 30-40%. It'll help me to be competitive in the market. And because see now the challenge what we have, cake is one and there are now 10 players, now 100 players. So we have to make sure I protect my share in the market. And for that I need to be efficient and smart. Improving my technologies and the processes to make sure I can manage my cost management. It's very important for any businesses to be competitive in the market. And to be a dominant player, we have to control our costs. And these are the various pillars of any organizations where how we can improve the efficiency and can be competitive in the market and can offer a quality brand to the Kenyans at a reasonable price.
Who are the main consumers of your product? Now, let's start with the economy products and then the premium. Which part of this economy consumes your product the most?
Okay, I think if you talk about 2 part of business, the premium generally, every house owner, they want to do the paint for their house. Sweet home, we can call it sweet home. People want to use premium brand because it should be last for 5 to 7 years, So generally what happened, because people painting house is a little bit, have a hassle. You have to remove a lot of things and you need a painter in. So you understand, it's become a little uncomfortable. So generally people want to do a quality paint so it can stay for 5 to 7, 8 years, Now, so that's most of the house owners, they are using premium quality brands. As far as where the commercial is concerned, the particular warehouses and people would like to make an apartment, want to sell to someone else, which they are not been really honored, and the finish has no much meaning, It just need to look clean and, acceptable. So then people try to use more economy. Apart from that, like upcountry market where slowly the lifestyle is coming up, and as of course affordability also, premium is like almost 3 times 4 times higher by the normal economy product. So it's like when a lifestyle starts, like for example to upcountry like Kisumu area, I'm just giving one of the example. Kisumu, we have a lot of town, lot of county where they are now coming up slowly, the lifestyle are coming up. So they are using, if you go to more interior, a lot of people use economy because at least make sure the house look clean and neat and acceptable. So that's the reason that certain category of people of particular upcountry, they use a lot of economy brands. But if you talk about main town, like Nairobi, Kisumu, Mombasa, all big towns, now most of the institutions, customers, architects, professionals, they use premium brand.
Rakesh, we will talk about Magical Kenya Open shortly. We are building up into what then brings Crown into the Magical Kenya Open.
Yes.
But first, let's understand this business of paint.
Yes.
In your entire value chain, where do you see your costs being highest?
I think if you talk about value chain for last couple of years, our major concern was when the COVID has embarked in the whole world market. The production supply was become big issue, and overall market of the paint was gone up tremendously. So price of RM gone up by at least 2 times, 3 times because production was not happening because of COVID restrictions, and demand was there. So the whole system, and China was locked down, and there were so many conditions, containers are not available. The freight become 3 to 4 times during that time. So that was the most difficult time for us to manage our supply chain, value chain. But somehow we have invested a little bit more stocks to make sure that our customers should get our product in time. So that's one of the key things that's still not stable at the moment. RM is coming because nothing has been produced in Kenya. Everything we import. Everything, 99% we import. So of course that's the biggest challenge which we have is supply chain is still getting normal now, but now issue of currency, the way the currency, Kenya shilling depreciating is affecting very badly to us. And I mean, no businessman today tells how to cost your product, because every day for costing is changing.
Every day it's changing.
135 you're buying 138, keep changing the price. So now the local currency which depreciating is affecting business in a very, very big way to us at the moment. Yeah.
And you cannot transfer this on a daily basis, fluctuating.
It's not possible.
To the customer.
It's just you have to take a hit. How much you can control your cost, there is a limit we can do. So we have a challenge on managing business in current situation, and then we need some stability here. Yeah.
There's something that many governments do to help manufacturing entities within their country. They're called tax breaks. Now, the industry that you're in, do you enjoy such breaks?
Of course, I think any break is good for us. We are looking for, someone can give oxygen to us, So it will help us because, for example, low-cost housing project has been all dream of all presidents, and somehow they are achieving certain levels, and then same dream is also from our current president. I mean, I'm just saying Kenyans are, of course, if you talk about 100%, talk about 100, maybe 10% or 15% Kenyan have a shelter today. The rest of all are living on a rented house or struggling.
Yeah.
So for 5 years, I think tax rebate on VAT rebate on construction item, 2 or 3 items, just pick 3-4 items.
Yeah.
It can really help in a big way, and the cost of housing can go down further, and Kenyan can afford. Because I think the biggest development of any nation, GDP growth, come from the infrastructures and the constructions. If the constructions is on a peak, this country, any country, can do very well, and can have a job opportunity for Kenyans. People will not sleep hungry. There's enough opportunity, because see, 1 liter paint which I am sell, if you talk of 100 liters paint, I employ 3 people. That's what happened, because distributors, then painters, then painters helpers. So we indirectly, suppose today I have 1,500 people working for me, but today overall, if we talk about Crown, we've been engaging more than 10,000 people, because distributors, the sales, helpers, all put together. So you understand how one industry can create how much job opportunity in this country.
Talking about painters, some people call them applicators and us. The issue of skill has been a big one. You know, the people who talk about, we ask for painter, and the person just comes and they can't. Have you done anything? Do you have any program as Crown Paints to actually improve the skill and maybe certification of your painters through NITA and others?
I think you'll surprise what we did. I'm very surprised it's not reached to this information to you also. So Crown has one program called TK, Team Kubwa, where we have done completely automations processes, where once any painter registered in our systems, and if he is using Crown Paints, so he is continuously in our observations what any painters are doing. And we train every year 30,000-40,000 painters. And we have recently started a new concept called Master Painter, where the painters has certified, and we can give you the name of particular county where who is a good painter here, and they can they have been recommended for you to do good finish and good work. And we have so many master painters today in our database, and we are continuously working, upgrading skills of painter, lifestyle of painters. Even we started a SACO also for the painters, where they can have a habit of saving for the children's, and they can take this money for insurance, in case medical insurance, and they can save money for the future. So we are really very serious about painter communities, and you will surprise that the painters are loving our products, because we are the first company taken that social call to taking care of their lifestyle. Today, I'm proud to say that when I came 20 years before and now, the Kenyan painters are become the best in type of application paints, scheming, and giving greater finishes.
What kind of certification do you get? Do you get them accredited with the National Industrial Training
No, I think
Authority?
it's a Crown basically. When they do that, we do a lot of tests. There is a test process where they know how to apply 1, 2, 3, 4 product, how finishes comes. We know, we ask some certain questions, and on basis of question and answer, we know that the guy is skilled. He knows his job. We visit couple of his sites, what he did, and after that we give a certification. So we have like 10 to 15 people who do this job for certifying painters and visiting them and working closely with them.
People who are just basically dealing with the painters.
Yes.
Well, we know about the Team Kubwa initiative, of course. We're not asking it out of not knowing. And there's been a conversation that we know that you've had on how can we consumers then get to know who the best painters are. Is it through an app, development of an app where we can like Uber a painter?
Yeah, it is all available on the website. Yes.
Great. Now we bring the conversation to Muthaiga Golf Club. And you've been working with the Muthaiga Golf Club for a number of years and in the run-up to the Magical Kenya Open. What is it that you do?
I think being a member of Muthaiga, always club chairmen and directors are very close friends, and we play golf together. So whenever this opportunity comes, they definitely approach me, and being a member is my home club. So that's the reason that they always accept something to contribute to the magical Kenya Open. And I personally feel that promoting golf in this country is the biggest opportunity for Africa, for Kenya. Of course, South Africa has reached at certain level. It's a maybe maturity level. The East Africa has never done on a big way. So that's the reason this is one of the greatest opportunity. Golf tour is one of the biggest tour in the world now, and people spending money, but most of the people have a lot of money, retired professionals, CEOs, chairmen, and they love to travel. And that's the reason that I think Kenya has amazing opportunities in golf destinations, and we feel that we can be part as a crown to make our dream true, that every amateur in the world would like to come and play golf in Kenya. And the reason is, if you look at I also played many courses worldwide. I go to US and I played a couple of golf courses in there. I played in Australia, I played in Canada. But I can tell you, we are very proud what we have in Kenya. We should be proud. And the courses what we have, beautiful courses we have, and beautiful people we have here, I think we should market very, very heavily in the world market.
Why do you say we have the best?
See, quality of courses which we have, greens are very natural here, weather conditions is very good. Everything is natural here. And today you get a KD of $10, where you can't even get a KD in any other part of the world, So those are all the facilities. They carry your bag, they show you the line. So your golf game become more fun and enjoyable. If you suppose I go and play in Dubai, no one is helping me. Where is the green and what is a pin? I just do what I do, Anyway, we are spoiled, but it's okay. But it's a good fun, Someone is carrying bag. So we have a lot of opportunities to, we should target as a country that we should get 100,000 golfers worldwide in Kenya. And you understand what job opportunity you're creating, what is economy, scale. All hotels will be busy, people will be busy, and golf course will be busy. I think we have to engage people. As more tourists comes, your country become busy and we create more foreign revenue for the country, which is now in need of ours at the moment.
Rakesh, you've played golf in very many countries, right? Not just in Kenya. You've played in several other countries. Like which other countries have you played golf?
I play more in US because I go US every year. Canada and Australia, Dubai. These are the 4 or 5 countries because they are a big golf destination in the world.
Indeed, they are. So we have a deal that we have with the Emirates, and when we told Emirates that you're coming, they told us, ask him whether he's flown Emirates. just ask Rakesh Rao.
I always fly Emirates.
There you go. We asked them and they said, just ask him. We don't want to tell you. Just ask him if he flies Emirates. What do you fly, first or business?
No, business.
Business.
Yeah.
What's the experience of flying business in Emirates?
I think you feel at home, and I'm telling you, it's an amazing experience there. The crews are amazing. The service are amazing. I think as soon as when you go home, you relax. As soon as you get into the business class, as soon as you sit in the chair, and the way the crews come and attend you, that warm feeling which you have is amazing. And then I don't know how they train people. In fact, many times as a management, we think that we should take the trainer from them to train our people. They all smile. The way they talk, the way they present themselves, it's experience which probably is a great hospitality. I think that's a reason that the best career today, is Emirates, because everyone wouldn't like to. They basically spoil you.
Yeah.
That's they spoil you. Yeah.
They spoil you.
They spoil you.
Masters in hospitality.
Yeah, master in hospitality. Yeah, and that's the right word.
Yeah. They say fly better with Emirates. Yeah. Let's take a break. 27 minutes to 9. Dr. Rakesh Rao is the Group CEO of Crown Paints. If you like it, crown it. They are working with the Magical Kenya Open this year. They've been working the Muthaiga Golf Club for a while. Magical Kenya Open begins today and ends on Sunday at the Muthaiga Golf Club. We want to hear what Crown Paints has been doing to nurture Kenyan golfers. Our conversation coming up after the break.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
This is 00 Direct, woman host, music by women and only women guests.
If COVID could mutate and evolve 6 times over the last 2 years, how many versions of yourself have emerged in the last 2 years?
Do not, and you don't have to give anything to get ahead. All you have to do is give out and show out your talent.
Catch 00 Direct every Saturday from 10 a.m. on SpiceFM.
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
This is one of the best ways to spend a Saturday.
All right, it's a sunny day today in Nairobi. Highs of 29 and lows of 17. Currently 19 degrees. Mombasa, sunny day. Right now the temperatures are at 26. They're going to rise to 32 and then drop to 25. Malindi, sunny morning at 26. Highs of 31 and lows of 22. Mostly sunny morning in Kisumu, 22. Highs of 32 and lows of 21. A sunny morning in Nyeri. Highs of 15. It's cold in Nyeri. Let's not say sunny. Sheesh. 15. Highs of 28 later and lows of 14. Nakuru, another cold morning, sunny at 16 and lows of 30. I'm saying it's cold because, think about it. Kisumu is 22, Malindi is 26. Kampala is 21 at sunny morning. And Dar es Salaam is 28, sunny morning. How can we also say Nyeri is a sunny morning at 15? It's different. It's cold. Highs of 32 in Dar es Salaam and lows of 27. Johannesburg, highs of 29 today, lows of 13. Lagos, mostly clear skies at 33 and lows of 27. Kinshasa, partly cloudy at 33 and lows of 22. London, they're waking up to temperatures of 3, gonna rise to 10 and drop to 3. Paris, cloudy morning at 10, highs of 15. New York, clear skies, they will wake up to 10 degrees and then it'll drop to 1. Beijing, partly sunny, highs of 22, lows of 5.
Yolanda Mulwa, DJ Absolute. When the gang is together,
got the sugar, got the spice.
Yorada. Yes.
I have missed you like hot hamburgers. Eh?
Like hot hamburgers.
You know, bad boys give more money than you can count.
Hey, bad boys give more money than you can count. If it's fun, it's funky, it's fresh, you're definitely going to catch it here. I don't know what you do every day from 11 a.m. to 3 o'clock, but if I were you, I'd tune in to
Sugar and Spice only on 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
So if you say it's on, then it's on. Yeah.
Okay. The situation was not looking bad earlier today on Kiambu Road or Thika Superhighway. Let's refresh this and check. How's it looking now? It's still looking okay on Thika Superhighway. In fact, earlier the traffic was stretching all the way back to the Outer Ring Road junction. Now it's come closer to KCA University. Kiambu Road today is heaven. It's flowing just up to the Muthaiga area where it starts to slow down. Limuru Road was busy earlier. It's clearing up. UN Avenue is still busy because they're going to work, and that also affects the entire Limuru Road as you approach Village Market as well. How is it looking like on Mombasa Road? Never anything to talk about Mombasa Road anymore. Ngong Road heading into town, not bad, but if we talk about Langata Road as you approach the Wilson Airport, it was busy earlier. It's now clear. Nothing much to talk about, but if you think there is something we should talk about, let us know. Tag us on Twitter at SpiceFMKE.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice.
Dr. Rakesh Rao, Group CEO, Crown Paints Kenya. We are talking about nurturing Kenyan golfers. As an ardent golfer yourself, Dr. Rao, what is it that Crown Paints has been doing to support the development of sport?
I think we've been quite aggressive. I think I personally take a lot of interest. And we've been doing golf promotions and supporting across all the categories. Junior golf, which we've been promoting, supporting for last 15 years. And we've been trying to nurturing the young golfers. And I can tell you, the future of this country is going to be great. In next 5 years, you will see amazing golfers going to come on this country. I can see a lot of parents, young parents are taking a lot of interest and then teaching the golf. And it's amazing. I think after COVID, golf has really taken quite a bet in this country. And every I can see a lot of golfers, the parents are teaching golf to the children. So, and we have great infrastructures, for example, we have very beautiful clubs in Nairobi. And I think we should explore, we should take the advantage of that to promote this big sports in the world, Apart from that, we also raise a lot of fundraising for the children's, on orphans and children's, cancer, for all golf, which for raising money for cancer for women. We all support those events. Average, we spent around 20-25 million shilling every year to promote this golf in these countries. And most of 60 to 70, 80% our all clubs, we do the competitions to make sure the golf is active. Because see what happened on the clubs, if there's no sponsorship, the golfers lose interest. When the competition is there, they take the participations with a lot of interest, and the whole atmosphere is very different. The social atmosphere, when any companies sponsor, like Crown, I can talk about Crown, I think is a slot are fully booked. People are so excited to play our competition, to win our competitions. And it's create a good social networking to the people. For us, is also a benefit. We know a lot of professionals, a lot of people are looking for a development, looking for a paints. So it's a good opportunity for us to also connect to the people for our brands, promoting our brands, and a social fun for the professional golfers,
Every time we hear of promotion of golf and we hear of promoting the activity among the youth, it's difficult to imagine anything better. But then, when you say we are likely to see the results in a couple of years' time, tell us what's happening now, which makes you so sure that in a couple of years' time, whatever investment has been made in promoting golf among young people will bring the desired results that you speak of.
I think we all have to be hopeful. I personally also feel that, developments cannot be done by one company. We are committed to the golf, and I appeal to other corporate also to come on board. Okay, then its government also has to take a very, very a lot of initiative to create infrastructures and program for the developing youth. You cannot create a golfers in like 5 years. It takes a long time.
Yes.
I was playing yesterday golf. I was participating pro-ams, and guy called his name is Marcel Sim. He is one of the top notch golfer today in the world. I mean, in European tour. He said his father and mother, he was playing golf since he was 3 to 4 years, like a Tiger Woods son, But there is a development program continuously supported by the countries, because there is a need of injections of funds by the government also sometimes. The ministers or the sports minister, they have to provide certain funds to make sure that pros of Kenyans get enough opportunities to play a lot of competition in this country. So you play more and more competition, you become a more and more stronger. And your minds, because golf is a mind game. It's just a mind game. How your mind strongly, you can play better golf in the day. And that's what I'm saying. Our pros are not getting opportunity, unfortunately, to play a lot of tournaments. They cannot go and play in another country also because of membership issue.
Yeah.
So I think this is where, if you have more pros and like Kenyan pros and playing in PGA or European Tour and all, I think it's a great advantage to the nation. Hey, my God, this guy is from Kenya. Let's see what is Kenya golf courses,
Oh, yes.
So we all have to, like one company can't do it. But I think overall, the corporate companies and government can work together and make sure that the golf development programs well planned, and there should be vision. At least there should be vision of the government and the people or a governing body, and let's not be interrupted by any other means, and make sure we execute the plan. And I'm sure example of India was not there in cricket today. The development program of India for last 10-20 years, they put the India cricket number 1 in the world today. We have to vision now. If you plan a vision, the plan can be done, and we have to execute the plan.
Starting from the plan.
We have a sports fund in this country. And one of the things that is indicated as being the aims of that fund is to do precisely that. To be able to promote, to be able to provide the CSR arm of sports.
Yes.
So that whenever you have a sport, at least now from the government, has a direct question. Has the government participated actively in supporting golf, from your view?
Partly. Yes. Partly they have done something like that. But that's what I'm saying. The program has not been cemented well. The program has to be a world class. The program has to have a quality strategic plan, which been aligned with the top national top plan in the world, and they need to hire a good people, maybe from US or Europe, who can help them to execute the plan, because the ownership required to be given to the expert, and we are not expert to it. Let's accept it. Let's get experts and give them authority, and let them run the program for 5 to 10 years, and then see what results are coming. And I'm 100% sure Kenya has the biggest advantage of having an infrastructure of golf, so that can be used very effectively. Yes.
If you look at the amount of money that actually is pumped into golf through sponsors from the private sector, companies such as Crown Paints, the Standard Group also sponsors a golf tournament, and very many others. Do you think there's a better way that this could be managed so that you harness what you're talking about, nurturing golf talent, supporting the professionals, and then also finding ways of exporting this talent?
Partnership with the private sectors, working together. Ownership remain with the experts. I hope my message is very clear. The ownership who can execute the plan better, he should be responsible, they should be responsible to make sure the program are not been interrupted by any means, by any other authorities.
So what kind of partnership, when you say partnership, are you talking about like a consolidated fund where we say that all of us, I'd like to sponsor golf, Crown Paints would like to sponsor golf, others would like to sponsor golf, we all come together to, the kind of golf union?
Yeah, you can make a fund, or maybe you can make some corporate fund.
And then KGU then creates this kind of a program that says, so your Rakesh, Crown Paints partnership is going to support this and that element, and we believe that it aligns with what you said would be your vision.
Yeah, I think I'm not like I never run a sports academy, so I don't know, and I never run this program. I'm here to support. I can appeal to various corporates to come on board. Say, fine, like we can create a kitty of certain amount, and then all we can just to promote golf in a professional, structured way, and all money being spent, being transparent, and being published. So there's no question being raised by anyone where the money was spent. So that's what I'm saying. We need to have an academy, we need to have experts, and after raising the fund, the ownership lie with the professionals to run seriously the program for next 5 years without any interruptions.
Give us, for example, if you have to pick an example of the other countries, say Canada or Australia, countries where you visited and played golf, how do they do it?
I think they have a huge development program from junior up to pros, and so they support. They have a lot of sponsored. Like yesterday I was playing with Marcel Sim. He has a sponsorship for Calais for next 1 year. You understand? So that's what I'm saying. Now, why? Because he is a person who won competitions and given that brand, that mileage. So that's what I'm saying. If we have a structured program and our pros start doing well in the other competition worldwide, and they can go and play in Europe, they can play in Dubai, and there's all various competition they play and they win, and they like come in top 3, top 4. I think you find that there's a chance of getting a lot of sponsorship. Even the same fund which we created, we can also support them. So I have a plan. I'm working with some of the pros. They have submitted to me that this is what we want to do for pros. So I'm taking initiative. I'm starting with a small scale at the moment. But I'm sure that if people are listening and they want to come on board, we can able to do something great for Kenyan pro in this country, and can take this Kenya as a different level as a golf destinations.
One of the questions that is always asked with regards to sports, once we've talked about the professionals, the amateurs, the youth, girls, women, sponsorship and encouragement of girls, young girls, and probably women to also participate effectively in the sport of golf.
Of course, I think I'm not talking about only men. I'm talking about overall. Youth means, of course, girls, boys.
Yes.
And of course, even Kenyan women also have great opportunities, and they can able to also, I think, particular Mombasa, there's a lot of events are happening in Wipingo, and all top class ladies golfers are coming and playing in Wipingo. We've been invited to sponsor, but the kitty was very big. So, but yes, I mean, that's what I'm saying. A lot of top women's golfers are coming and playing in Wipingo. So it's the same opportunity. Last year, because of my relationship with the Emirates Golf Course, the 40 women came from Emirates Golf Course, and they played 4 days golf in all golf courses in Nairobi. So opportunities are there. We have to sell. And to sell, create an infrastructure and create to the market what we have in the country. We are unable to market ourselves.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
We always ask questions of, corporate brands that talk about sponsoring events such as this one. What is in it for you? Why is Crown Paints spending its hard-earned money putting it into golf?
I don't think it's, to be very frank, it's a professional give and take, because when we sponsor competitions, I'm sure that a lot of people looking for paint solutions of professional architects, contractors. So we cement our relationship with them also, and they become a brand loyal.
Yeah.
It's a very, golf has such a great bonding. When you play golf with someone or architect professional, you become like a very personal friend. Have one drink, and anytime you call, he will do your job. I think he will not ask whether I'm getting any benefit at all. I can personally feel that if I'm sponsoring this tournament every year. So of course my cause is social, but of course networking people, knowing more people, what the projects are happening, what are our inputs, what are the new suggestions a lot of people give us. So we work on that. Various suggestions come through various golfing events, So it's a give and take, and I can tell you we have great advantage of doing these golf tournaments. What we spend, we get more than that. As per now, fraternity of entire golfers, I can tell in Kenya, and I'm proud to say that they know only one brand. There's Crown. If you like it, Crown it.
That's what because you've associated with them.
Yes.
So the whole thing is, people should not just look at it and think there is no thinking behind it. There is thinking behind it. And it's important that there is two-way value. Because when there's two-way value, then you also value the fact that you're actually spending money into it.
Yes.
And you value the fact that you'd like the money to go into something that develops
yes,
and maintains your brand image You don't want to be associated with the tournament that you put in money and
they are major decision makers. If you really ask me, the people play golf. I mean, they are major decision makers. They have graded lifestyle. They have certain level. They can have a capacity to spend money. They have capacity to expand. They are in property developments. Okay.
Yeah.
So of course, it come back always.
You know, when you talk about branding, anything that is associated with the public good that you can see helps cement that brand. Apart from just being user friendly, as being concerned. Now, it as nothing gets better when you talk about a give and take situation than one where the direct benefit, which has no commercial value but a huge social capital value, is actually brought into that particular arena.
Create a social brand value which is more impact than you do any advertisement.
That's it. It's about social impact and what you do about it. Let's talk green. Yeah. So, of course, when you think golf, you think green. So let's also bring you the angle of green. How green are your paints? And what is it that you talk about when you're saying conserving our environment, thinking about climate change and the paint that you produce?
If you look at our tin, it's all written. All our paints are green. Okay, we are not using lead. When we stopped using lead for many, many years. Low VOC means basically volatile organic chemicals. Our paints are completely VOC. So it doesn't have, even see here, it's written here, no harmful smell.
Yes.
It shows that our paint has a no harmful smell. It means that we are not using any chemicals which affect your health and atmosphere. And we have to, since we are listed companies and number one brand leaders, we always provided low VOC paint in this country, completely environmental friendly paints. If you look at the Crown for last 50-60 years, we follow all the best regulations of NEMA. We never compromise. We are in influent treatment plant, whatever maybe our wastage is coming, we make sure it doesn't come and affect the atmospheres. We don't compromise anything, because to be a number one brand, you have to follow all the best practices. We are ISO 9,000, 14,000, 18,000. We follow all the health best practices. We follow green initiatives. We have used solar systems. So we also help the environment in such a way that we do not harm with any processes. And all the brands, all the products are 100% environmental friendly.
When you mentioned something, just out of curiosity, what was lead used for in paint? Why was the lead to begin with?
I think to reduce the cost. To make more profits. Lead-free paints are most of the local brands, they have to use it because it's cheaper available. It is rejected all over the world. So wherever it's available, so you import at a very low cost. So if you use lead, its cost goes down. So that's the reason that when you make any environmental, all pigments are organic pigments. So organic pigments are more expensive than normal. Today, you go and buy organic food in any shop.
It's expensive.
It's maybe double.
Yes.
So that's what organic is. Organic means,
And then the bigger challenge then is, because you have to follow all this, because as a company you've decided we want to go green, we want to be environmental friendly, we want to comply with all rules and regulations, it becomes more expensive for you to actually produce.
Of course, our cost is.
And then your competition is cheaper, and they're going to the market.
Yeah, see, nothing comes cheap today. And you talk about any developed nation like US, America, or European countries, all green initiatives which they have taken, all the green products, if you go and buy organic products, are most costly. So yeah, of course, but we are here to serve this nation, to the Kenyans, to give the best of the product, environmental friendly and green paints to them. We care for their health. And they breathe.
Yeah.
The breath is important. We don't want to breathe some harmful smell, to make their life healthy,
We've talked about local manufacturers, and especially those that want to comply with all the rules and regulations, complaining that they infiltration of the counterfeits is actually cutting up on business. Has your industry been affected by counterfeit?
Counterfeit is a part of any developing nations, because our rules and regulation compliances are not very strict here. If you found something doing counterfeit, you pay like 2,500 shilling penalty and you can get away. So that's the part. That's various business dynamics we have to face. Threats, which we call as a threats. But you look at my packaging, is the way it has been done. It is a seal here. Once you broke the seal, you cannot close the tin again. So we've been trying to bring various innovation in our packaging that people should not do a counterfeit our product. So I think 90% we are able to, 95% our all water-based products cannot be counterfeit. It's very difficult. But what happened, people are not aware sometimes, the people sitting in upcountry market and all, remote area, which they don't understand, they don't have access to the information. So sometimes the people do take the advantage of that. But I think we have been very strict, and now anytime we generally get information lead, we generally act very fast on that. Of late, the complaints are, after introducing all new packaging, innovative packaging, the complaint has gone drastically down. Earlier, we used to get like 3-4 complaints in a month. Now we even don't get one complaint in 3 months. So we achieve quite a lot on with putting innovative packaging. Yeah.
Dr. Rao, thank you very much for joining us today.
Pleasure talking to you people.
And yes, and all the best with the sponsorship for the Magical Kenya Open this year and the support that you're giving them. We'll be there. We'll be going today, tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday.
I'll see you there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dr. Rakesh Rao is the Group CEO of Crown Paints Kenya PLC. Good morning. It's 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is the Newswire. I'm Leah Obaga. Senators are pushing for an investigation following a power outage at the Coast General Hospital on Tuesday this week. The senators have strongly condemned the move, saying it endangered the lives of hospitalized patients, especially preterm babies. They've further asked the government, the management of the hospital, to confirm if there are patients who've died as a result of the incident.
Kwa hivyo ni tendo la kukashifu, kwa sababu ukikata stima, maisha ya mtoto yakipotea, huwezi pata mtoto mwingine kama yule. Bibi akifa, huwezi pata bibi mwingine kama yule. Ndio maana ni kitendo cha kukashifu kwa kinywa kipana.
Ikiwa kuna mtu yote alikufa, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa sababu ya ukosefu wa umeme katika hospitali ya Mombasa, achukuliwe hatua ya kisheria, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa sababu hii ni ile ambayo inaharibu uchumi, Mheshimiwa Spika. Hii ni ile sabotage, economic sabotage na health sabotage, Mheshimiwa Speaker.
It is therefore wrong for KPLC to disconnect power to a critical installation like an hospital. The hospital, Mr. Speaker, has intensive care units. The hospital, Mr. Speaker, has baby nurseries for children that are born when they are not mature. Is Kenya Power intentionally killing those children?
Hospital CEO Dr. Iqbal Handwala said the power outage was due to a huge debt owed to Kenya Power. However, Kenya Power disputed, saying it did not cut power supply, saying that there was an error. The body of the Mombasa traffic cop who died last week after he was run over by a motorist will today be moved to his Nyambeho village for an overnight. The family has confirmed that the burial of Police Constable Julius Marwa is set for tomorrow. The family has further asked the government and judiciary to ensure justice is served for their loved one. Marwa's autopsy report revealed that he passed away due to internal bleeding. Defence Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale has reaffirmed the government's commitment to end banditry in parts of the North Rift. The multi-agency approach, he noted, would help restore normalcy in the affected regions. He said security agencies have firm instructions from the president to find a lasting solution for peace and tranquility in the region. This event comes as legislators led by Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei, Saku MP Dido Raso have implored President William Ruto to deploy the military to flush out bandits wreaking havoc in the region. According to the legislators, the current and ongoing joint operation led by by the police in the region has failed to deter bandit attacks, with the latest incident seeing a pair of medics lose their lives in two separate incidents in Aror and Chesogon areas of Elgeyo-Marakwet County.
It is now the time to deploy the military to take lead in that operation going on in North Rift under Article 241 3C, so that Parliament must be approached as soon as it's reasonably possible for us as members of Parliament to give the military the go-ahead to discharge their duties to protect lives and properties.
We cannot have where people are being killed in a shopping center. Like yesterday, two medics that do not have even relationship with the livestock, the people who are grazing or pastures are being killed in our centers, yet it is business as usual. Mr. President, it is no longer business as usual. As Parliament, we are ready to pass that approval of allowing you to deploy military as soon as even tomorrow to allow those region schools to be reopened and the other region infrastructure and many other issues.
3 robbery suspects have been killed by a mob in Makongeni in Thika. The 3 who were riding on a motorcycle are alleged to have snatched a handbag from a woman in Police Gap area before escaping towards Thika town on a getaway motorbike. The DCI in a statement said the woman's screams caught the attention of Boda Boda riders and a few other young men who were in a nearby shed waiting for passengers. Police moved their charred remains to the General Cargo Hospital morgue to await identification by the relatives. Meanwhile, 3 knives belonging to the suspects, a mobile phone and personal effects robbed from the victim were recovered. And in the international scene, Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan has vowed to restore competitive politics in the country and jumpstart a stalled process to review the constitution, long a demand of the opposition. Hassan, in the power for 23 months, has sought to restore democratic norms in the East African nation and extended overtures to her political rivals, including lifting a ban on opposition rallies in January. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Let me tell you, my friend, the traffic is not bad at all today. It's a beautiful Thursday. If you are using Jago Road, you're fine. If you're using Landis Road, you're fine. I mean, it's 9 a.m. and there's no traffic hold up anywhere. Even Gong Road is clear, Langata Road is clear. Mbagathi Way is clear, Southern Bypass is clear, Eastern Bypass, Southern Bypass, Northern Bypass, Western Bypass, all good. Limuru Road is now looking good. Kiambu Road is good. Only issue is as you approach the junction with Thika Superhighway. Thika Superhighway itself, it only begins at this area called Utalii Hotel, but then after Kiambu Road Junction at Muthaiga, okay, you're going to Muranga Road or Wangari Maathai Road smoothly. Good morning. Enjoy the day with the traffic.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
Okay,
the only
7
way
after 9.
to start
How
your
you doing?
day.
Welcome to the final hour of the Situation Room today. Happy Thursday, wherever you're tuned in. Yes, we've never forgotten. It's still Thursday is always the first Friday of the month, and especially if it's Thursday when Magical Kenya Open begins, then
so introduce a little magic into your life.
Introduce a little magic. It's the first day of the weekend, and that's the conversation we'll be having. Our guest for the hour has joined in, big cartel buster, Senator for Kericho County, Senate Majority Leader, Aaron Chariot, good morning.
Good morning. What a title. Well, it's true actually what you're saying.
You're cartel buster.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good to have you on the show.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Prof.
And thank you for sparing some time to come and talk to us.
No problem.
Let's welcome you with today's proverb.
Yes, our proverbs for the whole of this week come from the country of Rwanda. A man's heart is not a sack opened to all.
A man's heart is not a sack open to all.
Okay.
Take some time.
From Rwanda.
Take some time.
Okay.
What are they saying?
That the man is in control of his heart. He chooses what can go in and what cannot be allowed in. So it's not open to all. It's open to some. I don't know if I got it right, Prof.
My friend, there is no way I can add to that.
I'm a literature student, so...
The beauty of interpretations is when somebody explains it well, you get perhaps an idea that you didn't even have before, and you say, but this is so true. Yes. And
you can actually relate.
The power of the proverb and the interpretation thereof is in how you can connect with it. And that is actually true.
Yes.
Senator.
Yes, Eric, good morning.
Salama kabisa. How's the life as a Senate Majority Leader? In the leadership of this country now, above the area where you are for the last 7 years.
It's demanding. It's very challenging. There's huge responsibility on your shoulders. You now don't have the luxury of just saying, somebody needs to do. You are now the one who has to do.
You're the somebody.
And, you're the somebody, actually. And the president loves reminding us that, by the way, there are no other leaders. It is you. Any problem that you see, the solution has to come from you. So there is a huge responsibility. But based on what I've seen the last few months, I think we are up to task. We have an idea what needs to be done. We laying the foundation is not easy. It's a lot of work, but it will be done.
Laying the foundation for what exactly?
For a prosperous nation. Many things that maybe are not right. We have a country that is in a very difficult situation economically, socially. There are many things that have colluded, both man-made and others beyond the construction of man. Others that are regional, others that are global, that have all constellated into giving us what you describe as a perfect storm. And you have to navigate and ensure that you get the country out of it. A lot of work has to go into it. And from the side that I lead, which is legislature, we are prepared. The sad thing, though, is that we haven't begun our work proper. Because of many things and many discussions that are going on. It's not easy to try and just radically change policy because as a country, we're in a place where we now know what can't work. And we're now having a discussion about, so what will work? And it's never easy because it's a tussle between there are people who are beneficiaries of the system as is arranged. Therefore, to challenge them and say, we think we need to arrange our society differently. You simply can't, anywhere where there's disorder, there's somebody who benefits from that disorder. And you try and bring order, you've got to fight and face off those who are beneficiaries of the system, broken as it is. So it's a difficult time, but then I see a lot of hope ahead of me because almost every conversation now is at the tail end, and perhaps in the next few days and weeks there'll be serious legislative proposals on our desk on what we need to do with regards to water sector, the electricity, energy, fuel, housing. I have seen many letters from the various ministries that are saying we're in the final stages because when we opened this term, I raised a concern and said we have just come back from our long recess, but there are no legislative proposals on the table for us to begin considering. What do you think about it? Actually, most of what we are processing now is just private members' bills. And of course, I had to write back and explain that the reason why you see a delay, for example, in any legislation in the water purchase agreements, things that you're supposed to do to ensure that government no longer has to spend its own money in putting up water infrastructure, that you can reach an agreement to actualize PPP agreements between those who want to build, and the off-takers will be citizens at a longer price, is because we are still negotiating with the would-be funders of such projects. So they are taken slightly longer, that's to be sincere, but then I appreciate also that it's not something very easy. So from the conversations and what I hear from them, in about towards the end of this month of March, we'll be also flooded and busy, and we won't be just
They'll bring a
transacting.
lot of things for you to work on.
Yes.
You know, it's always baffling me, and you've been in government now for a while, you can explain. It's like every time we have a new administration coming in, they are rewriting things. They are undoing what's been done so they can do their own things. And you've used some of those terms, building a new foundation, deconstructing the system, changing the status quo. Why must we do this? I mean, we are the same country. Why can't you just build on to what you found?
It's because you've come from a campaign and people have told you what hasn't worked. There's no campaign that I have ever gone to, and I've been through maybe three. This was the third one, the one for 2022, actively involved as a person. And when you hear what people are saying, hardly will you hear anybody speak in the crowd and say, "Hey, Mheshimiwa, don't dare touch this. This is working." Everything from start to finish is that education is broken, health sector is doing this, we need this in our roads, we need this in the water sector. So you come in and you're responding to the needs of citizens. When we say that we are rearranging, it doesn't mean that you're breaking everything to the bare minimum and starting from scratch. It's a tweak of very little most of the time, because at the end of the day, while the political class changes, remember the bulk and heart of civil service hardly ever does change. And many times when you get into government, and I've seen a lot of that, though we're really fighting about it. I've just been from a meeting the last 5 or 6 days where we've gone through. There was a conversation that was happening, triggered by the president, between the leadership of parliament and treasury, his economic team, and all the 52 state departments, where they came, presented their budgets and defended what they need to do. And the term that you keep hearing from almost every other, what you'd call the core and heart of civil service, is that government does not do this. And then you ask them, so what do you mean government doesn't do?
Who is government?
That's how we've always done it. And government doesn't buy second-hand vehicles. Government doesn't do this or that. So you get the sense that there's a pushback. So the truth of the matter, much as we change the terms most of the time, perhaps what is succeed in changing doesn't go between 15%, at most 20% if you really push hard. 70 to 80% will still remain same old, because it's not easy to change the thinking of mainstream and hardcore public service. Most of the time they'll leave meeting and say, we've seen these guys before. They come and they start with all this fire. Give them 6 months, they will they'll be lost in all this. And I have seen that attempt in many things. You try and explain to people that no, that's not how we think it should be done. And you can see the pushback actually from their end. So it's not that we change everything like you say, but also we must not accept status quo. There has to be a demand for something better. Of course, you listen to them, because you can't also be completely dismissive. They could be right in a sense in most of the things that they're saying, but then there are things that ought to be changed. And it doesn't matter whatever sector that you pick in our society, there is need to make things better.
There's always a need to. Let's park that, okay? We'll come back to that as we continue.
No problem.
Let's get this elephant out of the room. Okay, so you tweeted.
Yes.
And you said banks and media are the only two cartels that are left. The others you have dealt with.
Not dealt with. I said, I see, from what I see, most of the cartels might be crushed, or will be crushed actually. But there are two very difficult ones, which I think if we don't think deeply about it for good of society, we will continue to struggle with them for a long time. And for the sake of a prosperous and a good country, we must deal with the cartels in two sectors, those in the media industry and those in banking.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's just deal with the media. Why do you call us a cartel?
No. Hold.
Okay.
I'm listening very carefully what Mheshimiwa is saying. This man is very careful with his words and his wordings. He said cartels within.
Exactly.
The media and within banking.
Exactly.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Prof.
So he's not saying that the media is a cartel.
No. That's not what I've heard him say at all. I've been listening to him.
That's why I love this show, because this is a show of intellectuals, and you don't reduce things to be pedestrian and parochial. That when you say something, people just jump and say, "Hey, umetuita cartel." Like I saw, editorial of some of these favorite media houses trying to do. We are civilized society. And at the level that we're having this conversation, I appreciate. Many times, Prof and Eric, you hear people say that there are cartels in government. I don't see civil servants demonstrate and say, how can you call civil service a cartel? Like the media is trying to do. Honestly, you can't be such impervious to criticism to the point that when somebody points out, you don't pause to say, please explain me. Help me understand. What do you mean when you say that there are cartels working amongst us? And how media works. That's why I say they're very powerful. It's because they have realized Kenyans, and I've used this example before on this show, I think it dates back to the days of oranges and banana, yes and no campaign. And from that time, everything in Kenya is always reduced between left and right. There is no conversation that somebody takes the time to keenly listen and say, what exactly is this guy saying? So now the debate about the conversation that I started has been reduced to, is the media a cartel or not a cartel? Are you calling all of us a cartel, or are you saying that we are good people? And Prof here has taken the time to distinguish, which is what I hope to do successfully on this show, to say that just like in any other sector of society, there are cartels that have taken captive a very important space in our society, which is the media. A space that I love, a space that, by my training, if I wasn't in politics, chances are 99% of the time I'd be working in it. 90% of my classmates work in the media. There are people that I know so well, people that I engage. I strongly believe that there is no industry, actually, that I understand better in this country than the media. Because that's my training, that's what I consume a lot about it. But looking through the practice as is the last few months, I have said and thought through and said, given the important and the prideful place that media occupies in our society, if we allow things to go the way they are going, then we will lose a very, very important segment of society, such that people will no longer believe. The worst thing that can happen to a country's media is when you get to a point where even when you give the most credible of report, it can easily be dismissed by the wave of a hand, and people say, forget about those fellows. We know what it takes for them. Media and the space that they occupy is so sacred, so important in a nation's progress, that you cannot allow it to go the direction that it's going. Truth of the matter, and I want us to tick a few boxes together here, that as things are today, when there is a report that is posted in any of our media houses today, what are the chances that every Kenyan will look at it and give it the attention that it needs without a second thought of considering saying, or it could just be the usual stories of these guys? Have we reached a point where people are beginning to double check and say, you don't believe first what these guys are saying, you've got to counter check? As a person, and forget now, let's remove media. If Prof gets to a point where when he says something to you, Eric, even at a personal space, that Eric, I'm not coming to work today, is because I'm in hospital, you've got to send somebody to go and check if
this guy is actually...
Is that a good space to be in?
It's not.
It's not.
Are we there, though?
And that is where we are as media today.
Are we?
Yes.
What are you basing this on?
For example, and I'll pick about 2 or 3 examples. Forget about the ethics first. We'll come and discuss ethics later, because that's another space that is really wanting, despite the fact that if you read our constitution, Article 34 on freedom of the press, subsection 5, places us as parliament the duty to ensure that we set up the body, Media Council, or that's what we use in Kenya, to ensure that we protect our media from political and commercial interest. We'll come and have a conversation about that. But you've asked me, give me 2 or 3 examples of what people will doubt. The most famous example, your own Media Council the other day released a statement, and it was coincidence, because I don't even know that gentleman who released that statement. I just made a tweet in the morning. It coincided on the same day that they were saying the media houses that ran to Dr. Matiangi's house and beamed live, just focusing and showing his gate and saying there's a police raid, ought to have behaved better. because they should have counter-checked their facts. The truth has now come out, and it's eventually been established that, first of all, there was no police on site. Nobody had raided that house. But you know very well that there are media houses of prominence in this house, and I don't want to use your show to disparage any of your competitors or your colleagues in the industry that were being live and saying police are the home of so-and-so. You know, where is the place of counter-checking, confirming, and verifying, ensuring that whatever you're beaming live is correct. That's point number one. Number two, I follow and I read newspapers a lot. I have never seen a time such as this where media is being forced to swallow back whatever. Their apologies almost, I haven't seen the papers today because when I came in, I walked to one of your studios. Every other day, we incorrectly reported this. Apologies because of the continuous numbers of suits that people are raising. For the simple reason that when you have a journalist sit on a desk and they are not being true to the calling of professional ethics of journalism or verifying a story, giving you the chance to even respond, and they go ahead and run with the story, then the following day you're being filed with suits, now more than ever. And keep a track, and I hope there are either Media Council or any of this organization, they'd bear me witness that there has never been a time that the media is being sued more than now because of inaccuracy of reports, misleading, or outright lies about a particular individual. So when an industry has sunk to such levels, isn't it time for us to be introspective about it and have a conversation without having to shout and say, there's threat to freedom muzzle. Of... we're trying to be muzzled. You know, just like the way I enjoy rights, Eric, the media also enjoy its rights, but they do come with responsibilities. It's not... for lack of a better word, the license of a harlot, that you can be free to do whatever you want to do and nobody's ever allowed to question you. I don't think that is what we want of our media.
But then, all those things that you've said, how do they point to a cartel? Because cartel would mean that it's deliberate, it's well planned, it's well organized to actually mislead.
If you ever doubted that there's a cartel in our media, didn't you see how that tweet was responded to? You know how cartels behave? When you say something, my friend, they are vicious, they are instinctive, they respond as a group, and they ensure that whatever you are trying to say is get lost in certain translations about it. You know, I saw a dedication and I was so happy and I said, oh my goodness, this is also a very good time on the flip of it. I've never had 5 minutes of prime time on national TV being discussed. I looked at it and said, okay, it's not a bad thing after all, despite all the words that they use against the primitive. I said, okay, maybe finally, I think I've made it. You know, honestly, I expected a proper adult conversation.
But then answer the question.
So the answer is this. Given the way they responded, because I've seen how cartels behave, they lock out their ears to any criticism. They never want anybody to criticize them. Number two, they choose to mislead instead of responding to the issues that are being raised. Is there an idea that for sure, as things stand today, there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of bias, there's a lot of unprofessional conduct on the part of our media? Instead of people being open to that conversation and saying, what have you done about it? What you wish that we done better? What was the first reaction? Somebody wants to kill the media. I mean, why would anyone want to kill them? And for what benefit anyway? In any case,
but
we
this
had
was
a
the
referendum.
reaction after you had already come up with the term cartel.
Yeah.
So I want to know, what is it that you had seen that made you believe that this is, like you're saying, cartel means coordinated, means working with a script, means that all those examples that you've given us,
because I don't think it is by sheer coincidence that every now and then there is some misleading information about, let's say, particular individuals or particular government agencies. Number two, who doesn't know that in this country nowadays, Eric, and this is a very unfortunate truth because I practice politics and I do this for a living, that in almost each of our leading media houses, there's a price to get a headline. And I've been through this and looked at it, raised it even with some of the editors that I know that, my friend, How can we get to this point where for 50 or 100,000 shillings, you can get a particular story about Eric if I don't like him? And you have that conversation and it's ongoing. You will only be burying your head in the sand if you want to hide and say, oh, is there anything of the sort? Number 3, are we captive?
Is there something of the sort?
Yes.
Like for real?
Eric. No, but of course you're joking.
No, I'm not.
Come on, Eric. You know this better than myself.
No.
You know this better than myself.
What you're saying is a headline.
Yes.
On the front page,
yes,
or the back page, or the top story of a TV bulletin.
Especially the weekend auditions.
Or top story of a radio bulletin would have to be sponsored.
If you want to have it.
Somebody has actually paid to get their story as top or number 2, number 3 story.
If you want to have it for a good price in this country, it is very possible.
So is there a red card? Because cartels don't have a red card.
Of course. 50,000, 100,000. Depends on the strength of a story. I have seen it many times. How many times do I even get a message and you're told there's something about you that people have heard? Hey, can you organize and get yourself? Otherwise, this story is going to run. And I'm supposed to just keep quiet about it and not speak? Eric, that's how cartels thrive. They threaten people. They bastardize you like they did to me. That's why I tell you, even in their behavior, if you needed a confirmation that there's a cartel in the media, just look at how they reacted to my tweet. Said all kind of nasty things about you. That's how cartels behave. They give a dog a bad name and they want to hang it so that it's never heard about it. Unfortunately for them, you know, I've dealt with cartels before. Last time in Parliament, I faced more vicious cartels with more money than the media can offer in the form of the tea industry. I succeeded before with it. I have done other things, so I know I have faced them before. That's why I laughed when I walked in and you said the cartel slayer is here. It's because I never back down from my fights. I don't pick up my fights every so often with anyone. By the time I come for you, I have done my research, I know what needs to be done, and I know how we will eventually conclude on this. I intend to raise a statement in Parliament, either this afternoon or next week, Tuesday, and ask our colleagues. We did a last, what is it called, enactment of an act of Parliament, ensuring that we have covered, I don't know if you have a copy of your constitution here, but Article 34, subsection 5, on what is expected of us as a parliament to keep the standards of the practice of media in our country safe from both political and commercial interest. Have we succeeded in doing that? Of course, the answer is no. Remember the kind of political interests that were being showcased in the lead up to the last general election, Eric. You know, we came here and we had this conversation. My side of the coalition was being given 1 minute just next to the sport news, while our competitors were given the first story for the first 20 minutes. Is that professional media conduct? That means we haven't succeeded, and there is evidence to show. Now the challenge comes back to us as parliamentarians and say, what is it that you're going to do to protect this space that is so important to the existence of a flourishing democracy, to ensure that they be buffered the way the Constitution expects of us from being captured by political interest and commercial interest.
Okay. So you believe that this cartel will be even difficult for the Ruto administration to deal with? The section that you've asked us to refer to, Article 34, freedom of the media. Subsection 5, Parliament shall enact legislation that provides for the establishment of a body which shall be independent of control by government, by political interest or commercial interest. That's the body. And it shall reflect the interests of all sections of the country, of the society, and shall set media standards and regulates and monitor compliance with those standards. That Parliament has already done that.
No.
There's a creation of the Media Council.
It's called the Media Council.
Which is independent of control by government. It's supposed to be independent of control by government, by political interest or commercial interest. The Media Council. It's supposed to reflect the interests of all sections of the society. The Media Council. It sets standards and regulates and monitors compliance with those standards. The Media Council. It even has the Complaints Commission. And it has ways, just like you've said, the CEO of the Media Council, on the same day as your tweet, released a statement regarding the report of the supposed raid in Dr. Matiang'i's home. Wouldn't you say the Media Council is doing the work that it was set up to do?
The question will be, if they had succeeded, for example, in part 2 of set media standards and regulate and monitor compliance, then we wouldn't have witnessed the kind of media buzz that we witnessed towards the 2022 general elections. Open, where we had media stations that were running hate shows live late into the night. We were having the kind of media bias against a particular candidate without representing the interest of a particular section of a source. If they had succeeded in living up to this expectation, then we wouldn't have had those kind of problems. So the
Media Council, remember, Senator, the Media Council released a report on coverage.
Yes, I saw that.
Campaign coverage.
I saw that.
And they raised issues and concerns. And they had sittings with the Kenya Editors Guild and such. And later the Media Council said, we have actually engaged the media on this matter based on complaints coming from the political campaigns themselves. And this is the response in terms of coverage. And they showed that there was a shift. That's a Media Council at work, isn't it?
They tried. They have done well. That's why that's why the Kenya Editors Guild now wants to take over the Media Council. There's a big fight of representation. Do you know that there's already a battle royale that is going on? I know you guys are practitioners in the media space, and you're looking back and you're saying, honestly, and I've since then I've taken time to read through and ask people that work there, what is it that perhaps you feel is a greater challenge? And said, we feel that apart from just reporting, we don't have any means of telling the media after releasing the report, that is where it ends. Unfortunately, the way you structured the act for us is such that we're just nothing but...
they don't have teeth to bite.
Not this, I don't know if teeth to bite. You know, the problem with our language as a society is that it's very violent.
Yes. It has to draw blood.
Yeah, something has to be beaten, and but... How do they ensure that there's compliance? What is it that they can do to a media house?
How do they incentivize the media to comply?
Either the carrot or the stick, whichever works. And isn't it time that we had that conversation and said, because media is so important, Eric, to the existence and the flourishing of our democracy. And believe you me, I'd be the last person to want to see our media collapse, our media get to a point where they have lost their credibility. Nobody still takes them seriously. Therefore, isn't this the time to have that conversation with Media Council and perhaps even invite them to Parliament? And I spoke with my colleague who's the chairperson of ICT committee yesterday and said, why don't you organize a session and listen to these guys? Because after I did that tweet, I knew there was a problem, but then I did know...
You didn't know how deep
this problem is until people begin to speak up. You had the report that was released 2 days ago, which media has refused to cover. That they said actually that in terms of safe spaces for women to work, that media ranks amongst the lowest in our society. That report is out there trending. Nobody in the media wants to give it coverage. Why? Do you know why? Which word did I pick?
It's cartel.
Cartels, of course. My friend.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break. Okay. 24 minutes to 10. Kenya's biggest conversation. Senate Majority Leader Aaron Cheruiyot is our guest this morning. And we're talking about media. Yes, he's raised that issue. He says there are cartels. Thank you, City. There are cartels within the media. Yes. And he believes that all the other cartels can be dealt with in this new administration. But this one's within the media and within the banking sector. Higher. Remember, fly better, fly Emirates, fly business, fly first class. You have done that, Senator. Business. Business on Emirates.
Yes. Sometimes. Not always. I try.
Just the sometimes, but tell us about the sometimes. What did you experience?
It's one of the best. That's the truth.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's true. 23 to 10. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Fly Emirates first and business class and look forward to a journey that's as incredible as your destination. Start your holiday with delicious fine dining, impeccable service, and comfort that's out of this world. Sip drinks in our A380 onboard lounge on flights from Dubai and beyond. Watch a movie and drift into a restful sleep in flatbed seats. Treat yourself to Emirates first and business class. Fly Emirates. Fly better.
I have a brother. He was a pilot. He was laid off. He came to a policeman. He messed up.
He went from a pilot to a policeman.
Exactly.
He stole a jet.
Yeah.
In fact, you should be lucky he was not court-martialed.
The Spice Drive. Big hair and the biggest hits from the best decade.
Indeed, it's all about hashtag Spice Drive, hashtag Quatch, KWACH, 3 to 7 in the PM.
The Spice Drive, only on 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Damn.
Sunny day today in Nairobi, highs of 29 and lows of 17. Kisumu Central, mostly sunny morning at 22 right now. Malindi is a sunny day at 26. Nyeri is still cool. The temperature is currently now 19. Nakuru is now 20, sunny. Dar es Salaam is currently at 29, mostly sunny. Kakamega is a sunny morning at 20. Kampala is a sunny morning at 23. Johannesburg, sunny at 22. Lagos, sunny at 27. Kinshasa is a sunny morning, partly cloudy at 23, and London is a light rain and snow this morning at 12 degrees. Paris, mostly cloudy at 10. New York, clear skies tonight at 2. They'll wake up to 10. Beijing, China, it's a partly sunny afternoon at 19.
This is Double O Direct, woman host, music by women and only women guests.
If COVID could mutate and evolve 6 times over the last 2 years, how many versions of yourself have emerged in the last 2 years?
Do not, and you don't have to give anything to get ahead. All you have to do is give out and show out your talent.
Catch Double O Direct every Saturday from 10 a.m. on Spice FM.
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
This is one of the best ways to spend a Saturday.
Limuru Road is the only one that appears to be having some issues this morning, and it's still busy around Muthaiga as you head towards the United Nations Avenue. United Nations Avenue itself is busy getting out of United Nations, excuse me, and joining Limuru Road. Thika Road and Muranga Road and Kiambu Road have eased off. Uhuru Highway is now busy. The roads around CBD are busy. Landis Road is also busy, coming to join with Haile Selassie Avenue. Ngong Road is not bad at all. Westlands is okay. Eastlands is looking fine. Langata Road is looking fine. We are off the peak traffic hour.
Business news with Spice FM.
I'm Leah Obaga. The state has received 24 billion shillings backing from KCB Group for the importation of cheap foods to be distributed through 120,000 shops in efforts to lower the cost of living. State-owned Kenya National Trading Corporation said it had secured a letter of credit, a guarantee that a seller will receive a buyer's payment on time from the bank to support the importation of 100,000 tons of household goods on a duty-free basis. It has mapped 120,000 retail shops in the country where cheap imported foods will be stocked as the government targets to ease the cost of living that pushed inflation to 9.2% in February. The National Treasury has moved to amend the Public Finance Management Act to formalize collaboration between the national and county governments. The 2023 draft Public Finance Management Amendment Bill seeks to establish a new entity known as the Joint Authority, an intergovernmental organ established between the two levels of government. The new mechanism shall have specific objectives, including coordinating and harmonizing the development of norms, policies, laws, and sector priorities. The Mater Hospital is looking for a driver and rider with a valid driving license A, B, C and E with at least 3 years experience in both motor vehicle and motorcycle accident-free. Suitable candidates are required to send their CVs and cover letters by 20th March 2023. Visit jobs.digger.co.ke for more information on this and other jobs. Digger Jobs, your credible and trusted jobs partner.
Spice FM Business. Spice FM, Malindi. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
With Senate Majority Leader Aaron Cheriot talking about the media city.
You know, I didn't know that Mheshimiwa's training was in media. But more importantly, I like his declared support for media freedoms as enshrined in our constitution. I have 3 questions I want to ask.
Yes, sir.
First question, if the media had favored your side of the political divide as much as they favored the other side, would you have raised the same concerns? Because the bias would still be there, and yet the bias was in your favor. That is question number 1. One of the problems that we've always had, if you're looking at our country historically, is that every new government, when they come up with the new ideas, yes, there's always this attempt. We had radical surgery of the judiciary, and yet amidst all that, that Kibaki government ended up with a scandal that was bigger than any other scandal we ever had in the country. So you ask the question, so what was all this about? Now, because of our history, we then raise the question, okay, the government is talking about, you are talking about crushing and getting rid of the cartels within the banking sector and within the media. And there's evidence to point to what you're saying. But then, how can we be guaranteed that people like yourselves who are now in government are not setting us up to create your own cartels who will...
You want to replace the other one?
One cartel with the other. Well, yes, cartels who will actually serve your interest. And lastly, the question I'm asking is, as you speak, when you talk about cartels, and given the one-sided leaning that the cartels tend to have, are you then saying that the media space in Kenya, see, I'm now being careful with my words, not the media space in Kenya, are you saying it's up for sale to the highest bidder? Those are my 3 questions. Now,
Well,
you take your pick as to which one you want to start with.
I will start with number 1. If they had favored my side of the political divide, would you still raise these issues, or maybe perhaps this is just a bad feeling about you still remember how they mistreated you guys and now you have an opportunity to squeeze them? I don't think it is, because there's a famous line, if you follow through our the statements we used to issue, actually, and I'll say this in answering both part 1 and part 2 of your question, that the strength of a country is in the institutions they build, not the individuals who occupy the leadership of certain institutions. What did we mean? Because if you read many of the statements we used to issue in the lead up to our campaign, that line used to feature prominently. I can disclose without demanding any royalties for it, that actually I used to most of the time personally insert that line into our communications as a campaign then. Because as a leader, having studied through how our society works and the success of various institutions, then I realized that the only thing that will make us a great nation is if we have institutions that can withstand the push, pull, and attempt to either cannibalize or do whatever to them from very powerful forces. And if we succeed to do that as a society, then we'll get to a point where it will not matter so much who's the occupant of a powerful office, either in state commissions or in government or whatever place. If you have powerful institutions that on their own have got an inbuilt system that can withstand any amount of pressure.
And you're saying you're
this
willing?
Now, this attempt and this conversation that we're having is just a self-reflection and looking back and saying, given that where we are talking about how we need to have reforms in energy sector, in water sector. Why are we living beside a very important segment of society called the media, called the banking industry? Shouldn't they be, just like we are having a conversation about all these others, be part and parcel? And I don't seek and intend to control it, because fortunately, it's not something that I can do even if I wanted to.
True.
There is a constitutional demand of it.
True.
That ensure that we have bodies that will provide and cushion them. I have laid before you and the listeners this morning that there is evidence to suggest and justify that indeed our media hasn't succeeded so much in protecting itself, that there is a continued threat on its free existence and thriving from both political and commercial interests. Therefore, then the conversation moves to the second part of it. How do we ensure that we protect it so that we continue to enjoy and have it for as long as we can as a society? That's a conversation we need to have.
True, but are you also saying,
Mheshimiwa,
that you as a politician, a practicing politician, by your own admission, and by the fact and reality of the fact that you are a senator and majority leader, that you are willing to swim against the tide? Politically speaking, how often do you hear of political parties, political entities, criticizing and working against a process that favors them, even if they know it doesn't strictly comply with the law or the constitution?
Rarely does that happen. That's
yes,
true.
exactly.
That's true. So rarely.
Yes,
I haven't said it can't. I said rarely.
I agree, and that is the reason why I'm asking.
But remember, remember one of our campaign pledges is that we said we want actually a robust opposition, 2 state agencies of accountability, which include the media. If we get to a point where, for sure, when media outlets criticize us for a certain policy and the following, we can be certain and sure that this is not influenced by either political or commercial interest, you will reflect. But the problem is, as things stand today, whenever you read a story on any of our newspapers, on any of our radios, chances are it's easy to dismiss and say, I think so-and-so must have reached out to them using the back door. We don't want to have that kind of media. We want to have, when they speak, they have their bridal place of respect, and people say, if you see our media has said this, then it's time to pause, ponder, and reflect. Shouldn't that be what we ought to build and achieve?
So in essence, you're saying, if we follow up from what I asked, the third question about our media and the space being for sale to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
So you're saying that the media also should be robust and immune to the intrigues that come about, because what you're saying is brought about by people who are willing to influence the media to serve their purposes.
Exactly.
Beyond what the media is supposed to do.
Exactly. Don't you know, for example, that when you use a media house, and there is evidence, and there has been cited before, that one of the leading media houses, and like I said today, I'm not in a mood to throw around names, and ideally I can't, because anyway, fortunately, when I say it, Kenyans know who I'm talking about, that one of the leading media houses was a tallying center of a campaign, one of the 2 main protagonists. You know, when you get to that level, how will that media house, for example, handle a loss like happened to them at that particular time? That's why they tallied when they thought the first 2-3 hours of results beaming in, they thought, we are doing so well. Then they realized, things have gone wrong, and they stopped. You know, when you have those kind of things, it leaves a very difficult place. Remember, media owners as well. And this is something. Is there evidence to suggest that the media owners that are influencing editorial content and pointing to a particular direction? My conversations with journalists on the streets, and like I've told you, 99% of my classmates in university are practicing media people across this country. I sit with them, I converse with them, they reacted to my tweet, they send this or the other and say, perhaps it's time. I've taken time to listen and read through almost every message that has come in. Those who are insulting me and saying, you will die and do that. Those who are saying, like your colleague Sadiq, those who are saying, no, you said the right thing. I take time to read and reflect. Impassionately so, and saying, I just want not to be emotional about this, but as a leader, reflect on it.
Mheshimiwa, if we're to have this sober conversation, let me ask a sober question. What is wrong with the media taking sides?
There's nothing wrong. We support that 100%. Have you heard me complain about media taking sides? That's not part of my complaint.
You know where I'm going with this? This same media council you speak of, come the elections, you know, they even pronounced and brought forth guidelines as to how one should report. Yes.
I followed.
They pronounced themselves on it.
Yes.
You are going to do this. And when they gave a report and they gave the percentages of the weight and the leanings of the reporting, it was based on what they had set out.
Yes.
Meaning, media houses were supposed to follow those strictly.
Guidelines.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So you can't say that you did not know what you were supposed to do. It was clear. They laid it out. They made it clear.
Yeah.
Now, where I'm going with my discussion is this. You have stated your position clearly, but that's you, Aaron Cheriot. What's your middle name?
Kipkirui.
Aaron Kipkirui Cheriot. That's you.
Yeah.
Your ilk and those who ply your trade if we are to believe that we are influenced financially as the media space, your ilk take almost the number one slot when it comes to attempting or trying to influence. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say, how then do we divorce the media from what Kenyans have now taken as a norm, where you consider it normal for someone to buy lunch. Lunch has replaced the term tea.
Yeah, it used to be tea.
It was tea.
Now
it's lunch. Yes, which means tea was a small amount.
Yeah.
Lunch now.
And they don't say whether it's 3 course, 4 course.
No, they don't. They just lunch. Soon you're going to hear plot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it will not be toa lunch.
No.
Toa
kaploti. Yes, exactly. Now, you, are a legislator.
Yes.
Your position you have stated before. You're of sound mind and very sound reasoning. How do we tackle this? If we take you,
I am now happy because I think we are now home with this conversation because the way Prof has framed it, that's the space that I wanted us to be in this conversation. That away from all this noise and name calling and bastardizing me, which it doesn't bother me for a minute. I mean, I'm a practicing politician. Not everybody supports me, so there's nothing strange about. You can't ridicule me based on how I talk, how I look, what I do. Those ones I'm past and beyond. But I like the space and where you have brought this conversation because we appreciate that the media is a fourth estate and is equally important just as the other 3 estates for the functioning and flourishing of any society, any democracy across the world. If we have gotten to this point where as a country we are getting increasingly concerned that we don't want to lose it, then so what should we do about it? And you've cited the example of what the Media Council did and how they eventually issued a report and said, as a media houses, you failed on this score, you succeeded on the other. Isn't it time now that we brought this conversation back to Parliament because the Constitution actually gives us a mandate as Parliament that ensure that you do those 3 things. Protect them from political and commercial interest, ensure that they are representative of all facets of society. 3, ensure that they keep the standards of practice. 3 things that has been observed or actually expected of us by a Constitution. Now the bigger question should be, upon invitation of either media houses or media council to appear before us, the conversation then should be, how have you succeeded in upholding these 3 key functions that the Constitution has given unto you, say as media council, and what has been your challenge? Like I have told you, for example, one that I've just had from following the conversation ever since this thing happened is the fact that they say, okay, we can release our report, but that's where it ends. What else do you want us to do? So the question that we need to ask ourselves is, what else can they do so that people, when they speak, people listen? And not people actually, the media houses listen and say, okay, if our council has told us this, then this is what needs to be done. Editors Guild, because I've listened despite the fact that they said very nasty things about me. And I mean, my job is such that I have to listen to everybody. Those that like me, those that don't like me. I've equally raised their concern and said that their practice of locking out. Remember, if you read the finer details of the act, is such that a practitioner like you, Eric or Prof or anybody, cannot sit in the council because the general thinking being you cannot come again to oversight that which you're doing. You will represent a bias of some sort. But then the editors are saying, if I follow through any of these regulatory bodies, there is always a representative of practitioners. If you go to JSC, you'll find a lawyer who maybe for the time that they'll be in JSC, they'll suspend their practice, but then they'll bring you that perspective that maybe there's need to include themselves, and that's why there's a fight. I've told you there's a fight right now over representation. Who wants to do the interview? If you speak to Media Council, they'll tell you Kenya Editors Guild actually want to take over our responsibility. So there's lack of clarity in law. And that's a conversation which I want to initiate in Parliament and have our colleagues listen through and streamline that which needs to be done.
Yote senator is part of the bigger script.
Which one?
Mambo yote. So there's first an advisory from the Attorney General that says the same things that you're saying.
Yeah.
And that whole push on who sits in the council
yes.
of the media council, who sits in the panel that selects the people who sit in the council. Kumbe yote is part of that game.
Which game?
So what do you? So what do you want?
No.
So who do you want?
We just want.
Who do you want?
We just want a professional media that's thriving. The same way.
If you do not want practicing.
I hold the view that there's nothing wrong with a practicing a representation from KUJ. I wouldn't mind. Mm-hmm. And by the way, if they came to Parliament and gave that proposal, I will support. With a simple view that in all other regulatory bodies that we have across the country and the laws that we pass, they have a practitioner representing. If you go to engineers board, you'll find an engineer seated there.
Of course.
I don't see the argument of saying that we don't want a practicing engineer sitting in the regulators board. If you go to this one of doctors, the same happens. So yes. I feel it's unfair to have that conversation and say that perhaps if you have a representation of a practicing journalist, chances are they'll just be gatekeeping and trying to distract you. There's a bias on that particular part. But it's good that we are speaking about this. The only thing that I plead is that the media, which survives on criticizing other people, other institutions, other facets of society, cannot be the space where they don't entertain or tolerate criticism from other people. That's completely hypocritical. It's totally wrong and flawed. That's the bottom of all this.
I agree.
We must have a thick skin and say the same way we demand better of others, others can equally demand better of us as a house.
And they can say whatever they want to say.
Without having to shout that, hey, this guy wants to kill me.
What exactly
Surely.
do you mean? Senator, thank you very much for joining us. Come again. Can we have a date for next week? Because there's a lot that's happening.
Yeah.
For example, why is the Kenya Kwanza administration not talking about removing Dr. Margaret Nyakango from office, from openly admitting that she did not do things the right way? Its time is over.
There is a petition I've seen that's being brought to the Senate. Ideally, actually, the people that suffer the most to either acts of commission or omission are counties.
Yes.
So I have seen a petition drafted, and I think it will be presented to the House either today or coming days. It's a conversation we must have, because you cannot say I was forced. There's nothing like that. There's no such protection.
Let's end it there. Senator Aaron Cheriot is a Senate Majority Leader. He's been our guest. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation. We'll see you tomorrow, Friday the 10th.